Hey guys, tonight we're trading Netflix for something spicier than a hate-watched reality show finale. You're stepping into the lantern-lit veins of Marrakesh, where shadows dance sharper than your ex's side-eye. Odds of surviving this trip without buying 10 carpets you can't afford. Let's call it 50-50. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your current city and local hour in the comments. Prove to me someone's awake in Saskatchewan right now. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. Dust clings to your shoes like overeager glitter. Each step, whispering through powdered earth older than your great-grandma's grudges. Twilight stretches the sky into tangerine gauze, the sort of light that makes even concrete look edible. Ahead, fireflies flicker in sync with distant lanterns, nature's bootleg disco. The air folds around you, thick with cardamom and the ghost of camel caravans. Fun fact, this market's roots dig back to 1062, when Marrakesh was just a sandy parking lot for Berber traders. Historians still argue whether the first stalls sold spices or smuggled silver. Spoiler, it was probably both. Something brushes your ankle. A cat the color of burnt sugar glides past. Its tail flicks your shin, attacks for trespassing. You spot 3 others perched on clay roofs, silent judges of tourist incompetence. One yawns, revealing fangs that have seen better centuries. Quirky tidbit. Locals once believed felines guarded market secrets by swallowing whispers. Don't worry, your credit card pin's safe. Probably. Your elbow grazes a basket of saffron threads. Each strand costs more than your last Uber ride. A vendor materializes, hands stained turmeric yellow, offering a vial that promises eternal alertness. You decline. His shrug says you'll regret it by sunrise. Breeze carries a nocciolo of oud, smoky and sweet, as you pass a stall hung with brass lamps. Their perforations cast leopard spots on your arms. Cue the obligatory Instagram story. The lamp seller, a man whose beard could stash spare change, demonstrates a piece shaped like a pomegranate. Houses the soul of a 12th century poet, he claims. You almost believe him. A child darts past, trailing the scent of sugared almonds, as donkey hooves clatter somewhere unseen. Your shoulder bumps a pyramid of dried rosebuds. Petals rain down, crimson confetti for nobody's wedding. The flower seller tuts, her frown softer than the dusk. You buy a handful. They crumble instantly, turns out nostalgia's fragile. 2 stalls later, you're chewing a date stuffed with orange blossom paste. Sticky fingers meet sticky air, the kind that glues secrets to skin. An old woman watches her eyes twin crescents above a veil. She nods, approving your messy devotion to sugar. You wonder if she's real or a very persuasive mirage. Laughter erupts from a tea stand. Glasses clink over a propane burner's hiss. Mint leaves pirouette in steaming pots. The server A kid with mismatched socks slides you a cup. It scalds your palm, a friendly warning. You sip anyway. Liquid warmth unspools a memory you can't place. Grandma's kitchen, a Cancun spring break. The tea winks, it won't tell. Lanterns brighten as true dark falls, paper globes in fever dream hues. Their light pools on cobblestones worn smooth by 9 centuries of hagglers. Yes, the math checks out. Almoravid architects didn't mess around. You touch a wall still radiating daytime heat and pull back fast. The cat watches, unimpressed. A flute's tremor cuts through the murmur sharp enough to startle your spine. You track the sound to a boy hawking clay whistles. His table's a miniature Stonehenge of dubious archaeology. Guaranteed 3,000 years old. He insists. The chipped glaze begs to differ. You pocket a tiny camel figurine. Its humps cracked perfect. Drumbeats surge from some shadowed alley, the rhythm primal, urgent, slightly horny. Your hips twitch, betraying you. A henned hand grips your wrist, 10 dirhams. A dancer smirks, her ankles jingling with coins. You flee. Smart choice. Last tourist who joined the circle ended up married to a salt merchant. Now the scents shift, charred lamb fat, jasmine. Something suspiciously like wet dog. A man offers to read your fortune in spilled chickpeas. You decline. He shrugs. Your loss translates universal. Behind him, a parrot screeches profanity in 3 languages. Historians still argue whether medieval markets had avian hecklers. But that bird's clearly a pro. Your phone dies, the heat or karma. Unsure, leaving you alone with the din. A teenager bumps you, muttering apologies into his Snapchat feed. The market absorbs him a blink, and he's spice rubble. You pause at a stall selling antique daggers. The merchant, a man who'd sell sunscreen at a vampire convention, claims Saladin himself wielded one. The blade's rust says otherwise. But the hilt feels right in your grip, like it's been waiting. One corner smells of rain despite the drought. A fountain lurks there, half strangled by ivy. Coins glint below the water, wishes fermenting in stale liquid. You toss a rose petal instead. The cats approve. A clatter, you pivot and slam into a pyramid of ceramic tagines. They waver balance on the knife edge of gravity. The vendor lunges, hands outstretched, and steadies them. Crisis averted. He rewards you with free olives, plump and slick as queen's tears. You eat 6. Regret nothing. Voices rise in a bargaining crescendo, Arabic, French, tick-tock English colliding midair. A toddler sells single coal pencils from a cigar box. You buy 2. She pockets the coins like a tiny Wall Street wolf. Fatigue tugs your eyelids. The lanterns blur into golden amoebas. That eternal alertness potion taunts you across the crowd. Too late now. You lean against a post, its wood resinous and warm. The market breathes around you alive, insatiable, older than nations. Starlight leaks through gaps in the canopy. You count 3 constellations before a passing mule blocks the view. Its rider grips a live chicken, Both look equally done with today. The first mosquito finds your ankle. You slap it, a blood sacrifice to the moment. Another lantern flickers out, or was that a firefly? The line blurs here. Truth, always bartered, never sold. A hand touches your elbow, the tea kid's back, holding a fresh glass. Gift, he says, then dissolves into the throng. Steam curls into the space between seconds. You drink, midnight nears. Vendors shutter stalls with yawns. Only the desperate remain, a man selling moon-charged water, a girl hawking last ripeness figs. You grab one, the flesh bursts, floral and illicit, down your wrist. The cat reappears, licks the juice. Fair trade. Your last dirham buys a sprig of lavender from a widow in indigo. She tucks it behind your ear, a scent memory to outlast the flight home. Somewhere, a flute trills, half lullaby, half taunt. Dust masks the stars now. The market exhales you into the street. Lanterns gutter one by one, as if snuffed by unseen lips. Your shadow stretches east, already nostalgic. Behind you, a guard lights the first cigarette of tomorrow. Dawns a rumor here, but the city murmurs onward, hungry for the next wallet it can fatten and bleed. The air still hums with cardamom from the spice carts. Your sandals now crunch gravel instead of dust. Crimson paper orbs sway above like drunken stars, their bamboo frames creaking a Morse code only donkeys understand. A raspy chuckle cuts through the haggling din, its owner lean and linen-wrapped behind a lantern-stacked stall. His fingers, gnarled as olive roots, dance across a half-carved orb. Each groove he etches follows patterns even Pythagoras might side-eyed. Geometric spirals that twist your gaze inward, matches the stars. He croaks, squinting at the twilight sky. Historians still argue whether 12th century Marrakesh scholars mapped constellations or just really loved tessellating tiles. You lean closer, the lantern's parchment smells of sun-bleached goat hide. 3 burned holes pierce its side, intentional or a hookah accident. Camel glue, he grins, tapping an amber-stained jar. Sticks tighter than a vizier's promise. The fringe detail hits. North African artisans did use camel hide adhesives for parchment crafts. Your nose wrinkles at the pouch he offers inside. A sludge smelling of wet fur and nostalgia. His thumbnail flicks a groove, 12 notches counting years since the last great flood. Or maybe since his wife left. Markets thrive on mysteries. A paper-sheathed lantern brushes your shoulder. Its shadow projects a 6-pointed star onto your tunic. Oh, the seal of Marrakesh, he cackles, tracing the design with a charcoal stick. The Almoravid dynasty really did embed geometric symbols in everything from coins to chamber pots. 4 dirhams, he says, then snorts for teaching you that. 10. You counter with a smile, 5 fingers raised. His laugh loosens a beetle nesting in his beard. It flees toward fig stalls, shell shining like a runaway coin. He leans in, cardamom and pickled lemon wrestling on his breath. They argue, you know. Sultans or Sufis design the glyphs. His finger stabs the lantern's zodiac lion. Symbols, codes. Either way, a sudden hush. His hand stills mid-whirl. 3 stalls down, a copper pot clangs, the beetle's final stand. When he resumes carving, a tremor betrays his knife. Silk moths orbit his oil lamp wings, singeing as they dive bomb the flame. New moon's best for patterns, he mutters. You glance up, sky now a bruised plum. First stars blink awake. He wipes charcoal on his sash, smudging a constellation even Cassiopeia wouldn't recognize. Go on, touch the ridges. The grooves hum under your fingertips, ridged like a lover's spine, cold as a minaret's shadow. He nods at your calloused palm. Builder, writer, thief. The lines don't lie. You pull back, but he's already pivoting, reaching for a lantern dyed with pomegranate rind. Its blood orange glow warms your sleeve. For you, he growls, a phrase that usually precedes a scam. Yet no price follows. Just the scritch-scratch of his knife, resuming its dance. A gust howls through the market, lanterns bob like berserk jellyfish. His stall sways, brass charms knock together in a panic. One orb teeters. You catch it. The glyphs bite your palm like tiny teeth. When you look up, he's gone, vanished between a rug merchant's scream and a toddler's dropped apricot. Only the lantern remains, its camel glue scent lingering. 3 holes now glow, forming Orion's belt in reverse. The road ahead flickers, not just with torches, but something older, hungrier. The fig's flesh parts like a secret, syrupy warmth floods your tongue before floral notes bloom, night-blooming jasmine, but twisted, bitter undertones of soil and stolen daylight. Your teeth graze something wiry, a stem. No, the grandmother's grin widens. Dried viper's thread, she croaks. For bite, historians credit 14th century Marrakesh traders with inventing spiced figs as currency. Eden's snacks with market value. You freeze mid-chew. She slaps the wooden cart, its legs carved with copulating scorpions. Not poison, viper's herb. Grew in Maimonides' garden. True enough, medieval Jewish physicians did prescribe snake-friendly plants for humoral balance. Whether that included stuffing them in dessert. The fringeworthy jury's out. Your throat tingles anise, arsenic, placebo panic. Sit. She yanks a stool piled with apricot pits. Her hands knuckles like prayer beads. Pluck another fig from a basket lined with papyrus. Mongoose bitten, judging by the holes, the sticky fruit glistens under lantern light, amber oozing over earthenware. Sultans ate these before war, she murmurs, for sweetness and forgetting. A fly dives toward the syrup, she snatches it midair. Crushes wings with a thumbnail flick, no free meals. The market's din fades here, muted by saffron-dyed drapes flapping slack in the wind. You glance back toward the lantern stalls. Only darkness winks. He's gone, the woman snaps. Men always do. She splits another fig with a rusty blade, black seeds spilling like cockroach eggs. Try proper. This one's cooler, jellied nectar with a jasmine kick. The petals, pressed whole behind glass for lunar cycles, she claims, stole them myself from Sultan's third wife's tomb. You choke politely. Ah, scared of ghosts. She wheezes a laugh that becomes a cough. Relax. Ostrich eggs. Historians still argue whether spice wives or Sufi nuns controlled the jasmine trade routes. Her version, night harvests, petals smuggled in hollow ostrich eggs. Birds think you want brunch, you get flowers. A customer interrupts, a boy clutching copper coins. She serves him a fig wrapped in Quran verse fragments. For exams, she explains. Allah loves multitasking. The paper dissolves in his palm, ink bleeding into syrup. He licks it solemnly. When you reach for your purse, her cane blocks it. Your face pays. The blade flashes. She scrapes resin from the cart's edge. Open, you hesitate. Her sigh could wither cactus blooms. Not a kiss, fool. The dab of glue hits your temple hot as wax. She slaps on a jasmine cluster, petals sucking onto skin. There, now you smell like a bride, or a bribed judge. Your scalp prickles. Vanity versus venom, an old market dilemma. She leans close, her breath smells of pickled quince and latent tuberculosis. They say jasmine remembers, even after a finger draws concentric circles in the air. After everything, you recall Cairo's perfumeries, vials of scent that outlive empires. Nod, she scoffs. City fool. Jasmine dies. It's the jars that linger, knife pointed at your chest now. Bodies break, pots endure. The blade flicks a button loose, it vanishes into sawdust. Tell the next fool that. A commotion erupts, spice sacks topple nearby. She pockets her blade. Tusk, salt traders, always late. You rise, the stool's imprint branding your thighs. She tosses a fig at your chest. Reflex catches it. Pulp leaks through fingers. Eat that one at moonrise, she growls, or don't. But wash first. You're sweating like a sinner. The jasmine behind your ear slips, petals plastered to sweat. As you exit, her final mutter carries. And fix your posture. Spine of a tired camel, the fig bleeds in your fist, scented with secrets and a grandmother's contempt. Somewhere, an oud plucks a tune older than the Atlas Mountains. Somewhere else, a lantern's shadow flickers, 3 holes mocking celestial maps. You walk. The night ripens. Indigo pools seep between cobblestones. Your toes threaten rebellion. At each step, the dye vats loom, great stone bellies belching steam that reeks of ammonia and forgotten spinach. A weaver's shuttle clacks. You pivot. A girl works a loom older than Columbus. Her fingers punch thread through linen, each throw precise as a sniper's breath. Berber blues, she says, without looking up. Stains your soul for 40 days. Historians note medieval dyers used fermented urine to fix the color, a fact tourists never clutch their pearls over. You hover near a half-finished rug. Its geometric patterns twist like mating snakes. Touch it. The wool bites back static. No vibration. a harmonic thrum beneath your palm. The girl snorts, goat herder songs, woven in. Bullshit. Test me. She snaps a thread with her teeth. Sing a note. You hum G-sharp, maybe. The tapestry shudders. A thread plucks itself, replaying your tone an octave higher. Your spine does a conga line. She smirks. Great-great-granny pissed off a musician's ghost. Now everything's a fucking liar. A customer approaches. His robe's hem drags through indigo sludge. The weaver's smile dies. Dye won't stick to polyester, Habibi. Come back when Allah blesses your wardrobe. He flees. She gestures you closer. Up close, her apron stained with constellations, Orion's belt smeared with turquoise. Most think these patterns map trade routes, she murmurs. Wrong. They're arrest records. Her finger stabs a diamond shape. This knot, a 12th century tax evader. This squiggle, a philosopher who called sultans overcompensating. Historians still argue whether Marrakesh's textiles encoded subversive messages or just bad weaving. Your pocket vibrates. The jasmine from the fig vendor has fused into a caramel glob. The weaver eyes it. Tombflower girl got you. Here. She yanks a thread from her loom, ties it around your wrist. Counter curse or friendship bracelet. Depends if you tip. A commotion erupts. Dye vat attendants plunge cotton into boiling muck. The air curdles. Your eyes water. The weaver lights a cigarette off a vat steam. They say indigo workers' piss stays blue for life. She winces. Tried dating one once. You glance at a nearby tapestry. Its crimson threads pulse like veins. She follows your gaze. Cochineal, crushed beetles, more romantic than it sounds. A beat for the Beatles. A mule brays its flank branded with a glyph matching the rugs. The beast vomits indigo sludge. The girl pats its neck. That's Sergei. He's a nihilist. You lean toward a hanging silk sheet. Its surface shifts from peacock to crocodile green as you move. The weaver materializes behind you. Don't. Too late. Your breath fogs the fabric. A face appears. Yours, but older, gaunt. Fun, right? She yanks the silk down. Dubai tourists pay extra to see their third divorce. A pause. You looked better hydrated, frankly. Red dye trickles down a gutter, snaking toward a grate. You follow its path, toe the metal edge. The weaver's voice sharpens. Lost a cousin down there once. His socks stayed blue. Wind stirs, linens flap like schizophrenic ghosts. One slaps your face. She untangles you, laughing. Serves you right. Textiles hate the indecisive. Her hands linger calluses catching on your sleeve. Want to see the good stuff? She leads you behind a dye-stained curtain into a room choked with moths. A rug here glows, literal fucking bioluminescence. Silkworms fed on lightning bugs, she whispers. Patent pending. You crouch. The rug's patterns squirm, live centipedes sewn into the border. No metallic thread catching lamplight. Your guide sighs. Relax. It's just camel hair and poor life choices. A bell tinkles, the main shop store creaks. She shoves you into a heap of uncarded wool. Stay, breathe, and I'll gut you. Returns moments later, grinning, just a virgin buying sheets for his wedding night. The fabric wept. Twilight deepens, indigo vats morph into bottomless pits. The weaver lights a lantern, face softening in the glow. My great uncle wove his death shroud, she says, got the measurements wrong. Now he haunts an ottoman in Casablanca. You reach for your coin purse. She stops you, presses a scrap of fabric into your palm. It depicts a stick figure on fire. For your next breakup, she says. As you exit, her loom resumes its chatter, a staccato lullaby, blending with donkey brays and far-off drums. The thread around your wrist tightens, then sags. Dead. You glance back. The curtain sways empty, only Sergei watches, chewing a rug tassel with existential gusto. The night hums louder here, textiles whispering in languages your skin can't translate. Somewhere ahead, drums mutate into something hungrier. You follow. The fig in your pocket has crystallized, a jagged lump of sugar and spite. Perfect. The crystallized fig digs into your thigh with every step, its edges sharp as the falcons cry overhead. You round a corner, drums hit your ribs like a second pulse. A ragged circle forms, bodies swaying as if their bones melted. 4 musicians squat on a frayed carpet, their hands blurring over clay drums. One instrument's stretched hide glistens, ostrich eggshell fragments embedded around its rim. You recognize the style, Nawa music, brought by enslaved ancestors from sub-Saharan regions centuries ago. The rhythm defies your heartbeat, luring it offbeat. Historians still argue whether these trance rhythms were prayers, protests, or both. The falcon screeches again, its just leg chained to a wooden perch. A handler draped in patchwork silk watches you, though the bird's gold-ringed gaze does the real accusing. Ignore him, chuckles a dancer with coal-smeared eyes. He judges everyone who can't pivot hips. You try, fail. It's like your pelvis forgot its job. The dancer grabs your wrists, her palms tacky with henna paste. Watch the feet. She stamps, dust plumes rise in perfect rings. The ground's your dance partner. Your next stomp sounds pathetic, a wet sock slapping stone. A vendor thrusts a clay cup at you. Sip. The liquid burns, fermented dates laced with chili. Fire spreads through your veins, your hips finally unlock. The crowd whoops. Someone slaps your back, their silver rings leaving temporary tattoos on your skin. The falconer approaches his belt, jangling with tiny brass scales, 3 dirhams to send a message. He nods at the bird. She flies northwest at dawn. You decline, he shrugs. Your funeral. Last guy ignored her. Got dysentery at 8 Benhadou. Drums accelerate. Bodies blur into a single organism. You're sweating now, a stranger's beadwork imprinting geometric shapes on your arm. That's when you notice the falcon's chain has no lock, just a looped leather cord. The handler catches your stare, grins. She stays for the music. A new rhythm erupts Wooden clappers join the fray. The dancer hisses in your ear. This one's called Angry Camel Finding Water. You mimic her shoulder shimmy, dislocate something. She cackles, close enough. The falcon flaps violently, a feather drifts into the circle. The handler freezes. Musicians miss a beat. Everyone stares at the feather still midair. You grab it. Big mistake. 70 eyes snap to you. The handler extends his palm. Bad luck to touch those. His tone suggests you've desecrated a tomb. Wind sweeps through, snuffing nearby lanterns. Shadows leap. The feather melts in your grip, becomes ash. Someone gasps. The drummer begins a funeral beat, slow, deliberate. The dancer steps back. Maybe sit this one out. Laughter erupts from the falcon. Actual, human-sounding laughter. The handler pales. She only does that before droughts. He unchains the bird. It rockets into the dark, still cackling. The crowd disperses, avoiding your gaze. Only the drummer's child remains. She tugs your sleeve. Want to see where the music hides? Before you answer, she darts into an alley. Your feet follow, compelled by some leftover rhythm in the marrow. Above, the stars pulse in time to fading drums. Your crystallized fig, gone, just sticky residue and a faint floral stench. The handler's voice drifts from somewhere. Hydrate, idiot. You touch the ash-streaked handprint on your shirt. It crumbles like ancient papyrus. Somewhere ahead, the girl's laughter echoes. It matches the falcon's note for note. The girl stops before a stall draped in chains, each link polished enough to show your warped reflection. An old man sits cross-legged behind them, his face a topographical map of wrinkles. He peers through a loop screwed into his eye socket. Without looking up, silver or longing. I charge double for longing. Earrings dangle above discs hammered thin as moth wings. One pair sways your way. You catch it. Cold metal blooms warmth against your palm, a miniature eclipse. The jeweler snorts. Saharans used those as trade weights. 17 silver earrings equaled one scrawny goat. His breath carries licorice sharpness, anise seeds tucked under the tongue to mask lead fumes. He points to your ash-streaked hand. Scrape that off before touching. You obey. Flakes drift onto his workbench. The debris forms a pattern like Phoenician script. Historians still argue whether Marrakesh's jewelers encoded messages in filigree during wartime. The man sweeps the ashes aside, revealing a half-finished pendant shaped like a coiled snake. This one's hungry, he mutters, lifts the piece, its jaws yawn toward your sleeve. A joke. His deadpan confirms nothing. You reach to inspect it. He slaps your wrist, fast as a viper strike. Trust your fingers. They're trembling like overcooked noodles. The girl giggles. She's palming a carnelian bead from a nearby bowl. The jeweler notices, winks. Keep it. It's fake. Her smile dies. But rub it 3 times at midnight, it'll piss off Jinn. She pockets it anyway. He turns back to you. Look closer. Hands you a ring set with a milky stone. The surface swims, opalescent waves trapped under glass. Roman glass, he says, from a landfill near Carthage. Maybe. You squint, spots of gold flicker in the depths. Traders swore the gold was Nero's breath. Utter nonsense, but the gleam hypnotizes. A customer interrupts, demanding to haggle over a brooch. The jeweler sighs. Brace yourself. Slides open a drawer. Hundreds of eyes stare up, turquoise cabochons set in iron sockets. 3rd century curse amulets, guaranteed to annoy evil spirits, or my name isn't Yusuf. The customer blanches. You're not Yusuf. Correct, but he's dead, so I inherited his lies. While they argue, you notice it, a bracelet still clamped in vice grips. Tiny hammers chase each other across the band, a repeated motif. The girl whispers, "That's the midnight caravan, 666 camels, supposed to ward off road fatigue." The jeweler overhears, also cures indigestion. Allegedly, his fingernails tap the bracelet. Each click resonates through your molars. 40 days west of here. Metalworkers bury their tools during sandstorms, say it tempers the iron's temper. You're 83% sure that's bullshit. He removes the loop. Milky pink tissue swells where the lens pressed. Pick something or scram. Your aura's fogging up my best pieces. A ring winks at you, its blue stone marbled with veins like lightning. You slip it on. Fire arcs up your arm, or maybe that's the fermented date brew still in your system. The jeweler grunts. Lapis lazuli from Afghanistan came here on Marco Polo's 3rd cousin's mistress. Maybe his shrug costs extra. The girl tugs your elbow. They say he melts down coins from executed royals. He scowls. Debated historians for breakfast. Less salt than mutton. You twist the ring. Azure bands shift under market torches. Something glints inside the stone. A fleck of pyrite. The jeweler leans close. Found it. Good. Now forget it. Suddenly, he grabs your wrist. His thumb finds the pulse point presses. This is free advice. His breath smells like solder and childhood fears. Silver's soft, but human veins. Softer. Releases you. Also, you're standing on my anvil. You step back. The girl's already 5 stalls away, poking at embroidered slippers. The jeweler resumes work, tapping a chisel with murderous precision. As you turn, the ring tightens. Cold becomes strangling frost. You yank at it. Stuck. The jeweler chuckles. Compliments of the house. Comes off at sunrise. If you're lucky, market noise swells, donkeys braying, haggling matrons, a flute's mournful wheeze. Yet your finger pulses like a second heart. You glance back. Both jeweler and stall have vanished, only a dent in the crowd where chains once shimmered. The girl waves from a saffron seller's booth. Hurry. She'll let us taste the expensive kind. You follow, your stolen ring humming with stolen histories. Somewhere, the falcon laughs. The girl's saffron-stained fingers grip your sleeve, dragging you past spice sacks and henna artists. Your stolen ring chills the air each step, frosts the dust beneath your sandals. A hiss cuts through haggling voices. You turn, a dented copper kettle trembles on a brazier. Steam uncurls like ghostly fingers beckoning. 3 stools surround a low table, legs buried in sand to frustrate thieves. A woman fans the coals, her sleeves rolled up to reveal tea-stained tattoos. Not ink, actual brew seeped into skin during decades of pouring. Experts think Berber traders first mixed mint with gunpowder tea to mask bitter well water. The woman's hands tell a saltier tale, blisters from slinging pots across caravan routes. She slaps the table, a command, not invitation. You sit. The girl perches on a crate, swinging legs that don't reach the ground. A grimy cup slides toward you. Liquid swirls, mint leaves pirouette in the depths. Drink, the woman says. Not friendly. You obey. Heat blooms a summer meadow in your throat. Then bitterness, a landslide of pennyroyal and regret. The woman smirks. First sips, always a lie. She pours again from a height, a gleaming arc that aerates the brew. Sugar crystals dissolve midair. Your second sip, velvet rebellion. The girl giggles as your eyebrows levitate. The server leans close, her eyes reflect the brazier's pulse. There's a drowned city under Marrakesh. Some think caliphs buried it for offending Allah. Others blame bad plumbing. She spits into the coals, hissed punctuation. A boot nudges yours. Under the table, a ceramic jar sealed with wax. Don't open that here, she mutters. You peer at the vessel. Faint scratches mar its surface, maybe tally marks, maybe cracks. Historians still argue whether medieval tea vendors doubled as spies for sultans. Considering her stare, plausible. The woman tops up your cup, a third pour, tradition demands. This sip tastes of honeyed moss and deception. The girl kicks the jar. It rolls, reveals a sigil. A snake swallowing its tail. Your ring throbs in response. The server snatches the jar away. That's not for tourists. Wind shifts, smoke veils her face. When it clears, she's holding a photo. Faded, edges burned. A man in French colonial uniform scowls beside a tea cart. My great-grandfather, she says, invented anise-laced tea to drug officers. They got sleepy. He looted their saddlebags. She taps her temple. Genius needs no diplomas. You notice the brazier. Its legs are rifle barrels melted into twisted iron. The girl whispers. They say she grinds pearls into the sugar. You glance at the bowl of cubes. They glint, suspiciously iridescent. The server slams a palm on the table. Lies. Pearls are for amateurs. She dips a ladle into a burlap sack, pulls up a glutinous black glob. Date syrup smuggled through sewage tunnels in 1942. Rat-proof. Offers you a taste. Your tongue flinches, molecular sweetness cut with earthy rot. The girl gags. The woman cackles, a sound like grinding cinnamon sticks. Your ring fogs with steam. Strange, the metal should scorch, but it chills instead. The server notices. Grabs your wrist. Bab al-Silsila curse. That's 5th century work. Spits on the ring. Saliva freezes instantly. Cheap trick, warm it with camel milk or whiskey, releases you. I charge 50 dirham for the diagnosis. You reach for coins. She waves dismissively. Keep them. Your face pays enough. Turns to the girl. Don't lick the teapot. It's hot. The crate creaks as the girl leans toward the brazier. Her stolen carnelian bead, pocketed from the jeweler, rolls onto the sand. Before she can grab it, the server pounces. Holds the bead to the firelight. Dyed glass, but well made. Flicks it into the coals. Watch. Cracks spiderweb across the bead's surface. A sound escapes, high-pitched, almost a whine. The server grins. Jinn love cheap trinkets. They'll spend centuries trying to escape. The girl pouts. You ruined it. Yes. She pours more tea, golden green liquid defying gravity. Life lesson. Never trust red jewelry. Side-eyes your lappy's ring. Or blue. Shadows lengthen. Merchants fold their stalls. Yet the tea table remains an island in the encroaching dark. The server lights a lantern. Flame reflects in her eyes for a heartbeat. They burn without pupils. You blink. She's normal again, scraping dregs from the kettle. Last cup, she announces. This pour is deliberate, a thin stream hitting the exact center of your cup. The brew tastes different. Elderflower, wormwood, your childhood kitchen. Memory unspools, a steaming mug in your mother's hands. Her voice humming a lullaby you'd forgotten. The vision frays when the cup clinks against the table. The server wipes her hands on a rag. Go now. My ghosts are getting hungry. You rise, your legs fused to the stool. The girl tugs harder. With a reluctant pop, you're free. Lanterns gutter as you retreat. Glancing back, you see it, the table empty, brazier cold, only a scorch mark staining the sand. The girl skips ahead, saffron scent trailing. Your ring fogs again, but this time the vapor curls into a word. Arabic. You can't read it. The mist dissipates, leaving dew on your knuckles. Somewhere, a kettle screams on a fire that no longer exists. The girl's saffron trail leads you past date merchants, haggling over bruised fruit, their voices raspier than desert crows. Your breath hitches. Something prickles the air between your shoulder blades. Not heat, not spices, the hollow whistle of wind through bone. You turn. A boy perches on an overturned crate, knees knobby as camel joints. His stall, a threadbare rug weighted with clay flutes, each one ribbed like finger bones, etched with names too weathered to read. He doesn't hawk his wares, just stares, dust caked in his lashes. They sing, the girl whispers, but only once. You crouch. The nearest flute chills your palm, its surface carved with looping script. Yusuf ibn Tashfin, your ring fogs, recognizing the 11th century Almoravid king who founded Marrakesh's first walls. Or so the guidebooks claim. The boy snorts. He preferred tents, hated stone. You blink. How do you? He taps his ear. Wind carries old arguments. Kings chewing over architects. Wives complaining about drafts. His grin flashes, a jackal's moonlit smirk, history's gossip, better than coins. The girl grabs a flute labeled Musa ibn Nusir, a name scholars link to Spain's conquest, though clay crumbles before you verify the script. The boy yanks it back. That one's sour. Unfinished business. Your thumb finds another, intact, labeled Asila al-Sahir, a ruler lost when his caravan vanished in the Merzouga dunes. Or was he fiction? Historians still argue whether Asila existed or sprung from drunk camel drivers' tailies. The boy tilts his head. Blow. Gently. You exhale. No sound, just a breath of wet clay and myrrh. Then vibration. A low trill shudders up your spine. The market's clamor dims. Distant thunder. No shifting sand. Dunes grinding westward, grain by grain. A melody tugs your lungs, ancient, wordless, aching as a muezzin's first note. The girl covers her ears. Stop. It's angry. The note quavers, dies. Silence slams back. Your lips cling to the flute, reluctant to part. The boy smirks. Wind memory, cheap trick. Costs 10 dirham. You fumble for coins. He shakes his head. Not that. Give me eyes narrow, your shoelace. You glance down. Leather cords bought 3 stalls back. The girl hisses. Sandal thief, he shrugs. Soul ties hold footsteps. I'll trade one song for the path you've walked today. You hesitate. He sighs. Reaches under the rug. Produces a flute paler than the others, unmarked. For free. A secret. Leans close. His breath smells of burnt honey. North winds jealous. Whispers to French archaeologists in 32. Told them where to dig. A wink. They missed the best tombs. The girl scowls. Liar. Wind can't talk. He spins the flute. It hums without breath. You think ghosts need mouths. They ride the sirocco. Cough through keyholes. Moan in coffee pots. Your ring frosts. Air cools 20 degrees. The boy stiffens. Bab al-Silsila's work. Nasty. He spits at your feet. Saliva freezes midair, pops like a soap bubble. That'll attract sandcats and tax collectors. Before you can ask, he tosses the flute. You catch it, lighter than expected. Hollow. Play it at dawn. If you dare. The girl tugs your elbow. He's creepy. Let's go. You rise. The boy's laughter follows, dry as papyrus. Your stolen shoelace coils in his palm like a scorpion's tail. 3 steps away, the girl gasps. You glance back. The rug lies empty, no flutes, no boy. Just wind scattering dust in spirals. THE Chinese letter L a CE. Gone. She pokes your flute. Throw it. Probably cursed. You slip it into your sash. Something clinks inside. A rolled parchment wedged in the tube. Pulling it free, you find a single sentence in faded ink. The 6th king hides where shadows marry. The girl snorts. Nonsense. Maybe, but your ring fogs again, spelling a word in the mist. This time, you recognize it. Asila. Above, a vulture circles, wings snapping like laundry in a gale. The girl tugs you toward the textile quarter. Behind, a faint laugh rides the breeze. whispering of dunes hungry for secrets. The textile quarter's heat melts into ink-scented shadow as you pass a stall stacked with yellowed scrolls. A man materializes, teeth stained blue, as if he's been chewing storms. His fingers drum a bronze astrolabe dented from use or thrown against walls. Lost, he croons, or found. The girl pokes a tax receipt from 1927. Trash. He slams a palm on the table, scattering scarabs carved from lapis. Trash. I sell bridges to phantom cities, passages to gardens soused in eternal moonlight. His voice drops. Also, Atlantis. Your eyebrow lifts. He snorts, produces a scroll sealed with wax the color of dried blood. French Italman bought 5 copies last week. Drowned near Crete. Coincidence? A wink. Swim faster than them. You break the seal. The parchment crackles, coal lines squirm like centipedes. Continents blur. Mountains become tentacles. Coastlines dissolve into spider webs. The girl grabs your wrist. It's moving. The merchant leans in. Naturally, Atlantis never sits still, doesn't want tourists. His thumb smudges the Mediterranean Sea into a grinning skull. Medieval mapmakers hid its location in riddles. Al-Idrisi himself sketched 6 versions, all wrong on purpose. Your ring fogs the words the 6th king gleam in the condensation. Coincidence? The merchant doesn't notice. He's ranting about Venetian spyglasses and a mermaid who traded pearls for compass needles. The girl huffs. Atlantis is fake. Plato made it up. Plato, the merchant fake gasps, stole the story from Egyptian priests, who stole it from Atlantean fishmongers, who stole it from he freezes, sniffs the air. You've met the flute boy. A statement, not a question. You nod. The merchant spins the astrolabe. His sort always appears before catastrophes or bad haircuts. He taps the map. 6th king hid his crown where shadows marry. You'll need squints at your feet. Ah, no sandals, pity. Before you can speak, he yanks the scroll shut. The ink reshapes. Now a perfect sketch of Marrakesh's market. Lanterns glow where stall numbers should be. Your breath catches. There, beside the leatherworker's tent, a tiny crown floats over a smudge labeled Ask Her. The girl scowls. Ask who? The merchant grabs a quill, dips it into a jar where spiders swim in viscous ink. My aunt misses her teeth. Also knows who strangled the last Atlantean prince with a silk sash. He scribbles an address. The ink bubbles, smells like burnt hair. Your ring ices over. The merchant frowns. Bab al-Silsila's magic. Child's play. He spits on the map. Saliva erodes a street into a canyon. They say the order crafted keys from pharaohs, molars. Opened doors in the air. Never closed them properly. The girl kicks the table leg. Enough riddles. What's real here? Real. He sweeps a hand over his wares. A love letter penned by a Phoenician smuggler. A recipe for Hydra venom tonic. A shopping list from the library of Alexandria's chief librarian. Lies. Excavated lies. He jabs a finger skyward. Dig through enough trash heaps, you'll find truth's toenail clippings. The girl grabs your arm to leave. The merchant hisses. His next words slither into your ear alone. Check the fountain's fourth basin. Unless you fear eels or answers, you step back. He's already rewrapping the Atlantis scroll, humming a lullaby about shipwrecks. The girl marches you into sunlight. Behind, his laughter follows, bouncing off alley walls like a rubber ball dipped in pitch. Stolen map in hand, you glance at the address. The ink's shifted again. Now it reads your name. The map's ink burns your palm as you turn into a spice-smothered alley. Sunset, staining saffron strands into liquid gold. A woman hunches over bronze scales, fingers yellowed as if dipped in turmeric. Her cough rattles. Each hack releases a puff of ochre dust. You breathe deep. The air stings like pepper spray laced with honey. 1 gram, 20 dirhams by finger width, she rasps. A tar-black coal line bleeds from her eyelid, a tributary reaching her jaw. You point to the brightest threads. She snorts. Red gold. That's for sultans and fools. 10 years picking stigmas. 1 field yields a pocketful, 1,200 crocus flowers per ounce. Cheaper to swallow sunlight. The scale trembles. Its dish balances a feather against a tarnished coin. Historians still argue whether Cleopatra's golden baths owed their glow to saffron or piss. You smirk either way. It's why Caesar's love letters mentioned her radiant stink. The merchant pinches a strand, holds it to the light. Berber tribes traded this for Venetian glass. Romans burned it in theaters to mask corpse smell during plays. Modern idiots stir it into rice. A boy dumps armfuls of petals at her feet, maroon carcasses, stripped of their precious bits. She tosses him a coin. It arcs, catching fire in the sunset, before vanishing into his fist. 17 years I've coughed this gilded air, she muses. They say mercury in the dye vats. I say lungs lined with miniature sunsets. Her laugh spirals into a wheeze. You ask about Atlantis. She freezes, drops the saffron. Ask the wind seller's missing toes, or the leatherworker's eel scars. Her gaze flicks to your map. Bad year for Atlantis seekers. Last week, an archaeologist traded his wedding ring here, swore he'd found a mosaic of the 6th king. Ate a bad fig, died hiccuping sonnets in Greek. Behind her, a goat chews discarded petals, its muzzle spotted orange. You mention the fountain's 4th basin. Her nostrils flare. Eels are the least of it. Ottomans threw gold in there once to appease a djinn made of teeth. She leans closer. Dunk your head. See if the water shows your true face or takes it. The scale's dish tips. The feather levitates for 3 impossible seconds. She catches it. My grandfather swore saffron threaded through your shroud stops vultures from slurping your soul. Tried it. Birds still circled. She pockets your coins. Your grams ready? Wrap it tight. The moths here crave gold more than cloth. As you turn, her cough follows, a wet tambourine shake. The map pulses. You glance back. She's hacking into a copper bowl, sunset pooling in its center like molten glass. The goat stares. You stare back. It belches. The moment cracks. Dusk thickens, lanterns cough to life. Your saffron bundle warms your palm, a smuggled star. Somewhere, a fountain gurgles. Somewhere, eels twist in dark water. You walk. The gold in your pocket feels lighter than it should. One strand clings to your sleeve, a glowing filament leading back to her stall. You let it. The saffron thread snaps, replaced by a thicker sweetness in the air. You follow it, past coppersmiths, hammering lanterns into flat metal screams, to a stall stacked with honeycomb panels. Their hexagonal cells bulge, amber oozing like slow-motion lava. A beekeeper in a mesh hood lifts a wooden dipper. Syrup stretches for half a breath before breaking. 33 years still surprises me, she grins. Honey never lies about its weight. Her gloves gleam, sticky mittens crusted with propolis. Behind her, jars hum with drowsy bees, their wings dusted green from thyme fields. You lean closer. Egyptian kings packed their dead with honey barrels meant to sweeten the afterlife. Spoiler grave robbers drank it instead. She wipes a dipper on her apron. Modern folks slather it on burns. Oldest magician in the book turns rot into gold. A boy thrusts a stick into the nearest comb, licks it like a popsicle. She swats him. Thieves get stung in inconvenient places. He runs trailing honey across 5 stalls. You glance at a jar. A bee taps the glass, antennae twitching in Morse code. Trained 3 hives to sniff bombs once, she murmurs. Worked great until they rebelled. Started swarming pastry carts instead. You point to a comb veined with crystalline clumps. That's not wax, that's fossilized summer. She nods. Honey from Mount Sabora. They say the hives sit on volcanic vents. Heat spins the sugar into this. Costs 80 dirhams a gram. Tastes like pine smoke and regret. Historians still argue whether medieval beekeepers spiked hives with hallucinogenic herbs or just inhaled too much nectar fumes. You dip a finger, tongue meets velvet heat, flavors unfold, orange blossoms, coriander, a hint of diesel. Her elbow knocks ajar. Bees swirl a living top. Don't panic. These ladies are too full to sting, like you after Eid feast. She plucks a queen from her sleeve, places her on your wrist. The insect's legs prickle, a 6-legged bracelet. Persian queens used bee venom to smooth wrinkles. Also explains their excellent poker faces. The bee flies off, your skin throbs where she stood. Wind shifts, lanterns rattle, a honey river snakes toward the gutter. She blocks it with her boot. Ottomans would have declared war over this mess. They once embargoed Cyprus for selling watered-down batches. You ask how she harvests hives. She mimes climbing a cliff, hands gripping imaginary rocks. Yemeni method, chase bees up mountain faces. Nearly fell 7 times last season. Hence, she taps a knee brace stenciled with bees. A customer demands discounts. She snaps, bargain with the bees. They worked overtime this spring. He retreats. You eye a comb speckled with blue pollen. Atlantean special, she stage whispers. From hives near that dig site everyone's obsessive about. Tastes like salt and hubris. Sunset bleeds across the combs, turning each cell into a stained glass window. You buy a thimble-sized jar. She tucks a sprig of thyme inside. For the bees, they miss greenery in the market. As you leave, a drop escapes, glues your sandal to a cobblestone. You yank free. The honey stretches, a golden tether snapping back to the stall. Lantern light catches the residue on your fingers, a prosthetic skin of gold. Somewhere, a vendor shouts about turpentine cures. Somewhere, bees quietly plot their next coup. You suck your thumb, sweetness lingering like an unresolved chord. The queen crawls into your memory. Her tiny weight already becoming a story you'll misremember. Damp linen strips hang above a dye vat, splotched with indigo handprints. A weaver scowls at your sticky fingers. You apologize. She huffs. Honey's the worst. Never comes out. Centuries from now, they'll find this cloth and think we worshipped dessert. The thyme sprig scratches your palm. You consider planting it, wonder if it'll grow a hive instead of leaves. Ahead, a flute trills. Behind, the beekeeper sings, her voice half drowned by wings. Your jar hums. You hum back. The market tilts, just slightly toward the absurd. The thyme sprig's scratch fades as you round a corner, nose assaulted by vinegar and burnt hair. A leatherworker's stall looms, walls draped with cured hides that sway like hanging victims. A belt of adder skin slithers across the table, its scales still radiating desert heat from whatever makeshift coffin birthed it. The craftsman spins a dagger, blade flashing silver, then black in the lantern light. His hands tell stories, knuckles swollen from decades of pulling stitches, tight palms mapped with pale scars where all slipped. A tremor ripples through his wrist as he pares a strip of goatskin. Moroccan tanners once used pigeon dung, he croaks. Softens the hide faster than tears. Also explains the aroma. You lift a coin purse, its surface etched with geometric scars. It squeaks like a stepped-on mouse. Berber nomads invented that design, he mutters, to count camels stolen from rival clans. Each notch equals a day's bragging rights. His blade nicks the table's edge, sending wood shavings into the dust. Historians still argue whether 15th century Cordoban bookbinders really used human skin for grimoires, or just enjoyed scaring monks. The man peels a sheet of leather thinner than parchment, veins still visible. Sufi mystics wrote prayers on lambskin like this, he says, then swallowed them to absorb blessings. Indigestion included free of charge. A scorpion scuttles from a boot toe stinger glistening. He crushes it under his heel, a wet pop. Learned that trick from Marrakesh's last executioner. Guy tanned his own whip, claimed the latex preserved the screams. He winks yellowed teeth, aligning like poorly set cobblestones. Wind tugs at a hanging vest, buttons clatter like loose teeth. You trace a welt across a saddle's flank. The leatherworker freezes. That one's particular. Made it for a French tourist. Came back 3 days later, stab wounds matching the tooling pattern. Coincidence, probably. He offers you a keychain stained the brown of dried blood. Goat scrotum, popular with fertility pilgrims. You decline. Shadows pool at his feet, stretching toward a back room, where unworked pelts slump in the dark. See this? He rolls up a sleeve, revealing a forearm tattooed with stitch marks. Ottoman saddle maker tradition. Each scar equals 1,000 dirhams earned. Mine's a love letter to poverty. The tremor returns as he reaches for a canteen smelling of licorice and rot gut. A customer interrupts, haggling over a dagger sheath. The leatherworker's voice hardens. You want cheap? Go lick glue off Cairo's park benches. As the man storms off, he whispers, that sheath's lined with hair from Moulay Ismail's favorite stallion. Probably. Maybe. Don't ask. You point to a mask crusted with beetle wings. He hesitates. Jalaba for the faceless. Used in unsanctioned rituals. Last buyer swore it whispered nursery rhymes into mazite. The wings shimmer green, echoing the time-dusted bees, now circling your honey-stained fingers. Dusk thickens. He lights a cigarette flame trembling in his grip. My grandfather swore the best leather came from camels who'd crossed the Sahara thrice. Sweat salts the hide. Also explains why his workshop smelled like a mercenary's armpit. Ash falls on a belt buckle, hissing against the brass. You buy the adder skin, its warmth persisting through the linen wrap as coins change hands. His pinky finger brushes your wrist, calloused and startlingly cold. Wear it northward, he murmurs. Adders remember directions better than pilgrims. Lanterns gutter as you leave. The knife continues its dance in the gloom, flashing, 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 like a code only the shadows understand. The adder skin pulses through the linen as you hobble left, heel raw from a forming blister. A cobbler's all punches rhythm through lambskin somewhere ahead. You follow the sound, past baskets of cork soles stacked like stale bread, to a stall hung with sandals swaying like hanged men. The cobbler's wife hums as she stitches, needle darting through leather like a minnow. Her melody loops, a minor key lullaby about rivers drowning cities. That one's older than Marrakesh's kitaras, she says without looking up. Those underground channels once funneled meltwater from the Atlas Mountains, the city's 12th century veins. Her thimble clicks against bone. But my version, stolen from a Tunisian fisherman's widow. She traded it for a pair of left shoes, not my best deal. You slump onto a stool, its legs uneven. She yanks off your right shoe before you protest. Her fingers prod the blister. French heels ruined more feet than smallpox. Still, tourists love looking taller than their regrets. She spits on a whetstone, sharpens her awl. Caroean cobblers used to line boots with fermented shark liver. Softened the leather. Also doubled as divorce deterrents, smelled like Judgment Day. A boy drowns in the doorway, offering tamarind paste. She shoos him with a half-stitched boot. Real tamarins extinct here. That's just dates dyed brown. Last authentic vendor got trampled by a donkey in '09. Tragic, but his scream improvised nicely. She peels back your sock. The cobblestones feel cool, centuries of feet polishing them to a mirror sheen. Historians still debate whether Marrakesh's first Souk streets were paved by Almoravid prisoners or drunk architects. Your toes curl against grooves worn by mules carrying salt slabs from Timbuktu. Feel that. She rams a cork wedge into your shoe. Those stones remember everything. Even the French colonel who pissed here in 1912 left a stain shaped like Corsica. Her needle resumes its dance. The song sharpens, lyrics now mentioning drowned libraries, scrolls bloating into sea creatures. You swear the lanterns dim. Don't mind the melody, she says. It's just the song of Isil. Bedouins claim it summons flash floods. We sing it to kids so they'll stay out of wells. A beetle trudges across your discarded shoe. She flicks it into a pot of fish oil polish, an 18th century Ottoman trick for waterproofing. The beetle paddles. Relax, it's a scarab. Legend says they dig tunnels to Atlantis. Also excellent at exfoliating calluses. She buffs the leather, your reflection warping in the toe's curve. This'll last longer than your marriage, unless you're already divorced, then longer than your alimony. The awl slips, piercing her thumb. She sucks the blood. Iron tang. Good sign. My grandmother said bleeding into shoes bonds them to your soul. She cobbled for the Glaoui's concubines, knew 7 ways to poison a stiletto. You stand, testing the repair. The cork hugs your arch like a grudging lover. She leans close, mint and rancid wax on her breath. That blister, a gift. The saints punish those who walk too straight in crooked cities. Coins clink into her palm, warm from clutching a rosemary charm. She pockets them, off to stomp someone's heart, I hope. As you turn, she resumes humming, the drowned cities rising in minor chords. Your left shoe stays behind, forgotten on the stool. Its sole presses the stones, tongue lolling. Free, your bare foot meets night-cooled stone, each step tattooing the city's pulse into your soul. The missing shoe's absence feels louder than the market's din, like a tooth socket after extraction. You turn a corner, lamplight catches copper, glinting in filthy curls. He slouches against a crumbling fountain, coins woven into his hair like a barbed crown. One hand palm up. The other cradles a date pit, blackened and fissured, a dirham for the apostate king's hairdresser. His voice grates sand and hashish smoke. Historians still argue whether Sigil Massa's last ruler really paid servants in toenail clippings. You fumble for coins, pocket lint clinging to them. He plucks a copper piece with rotted teeth, presses the date seed into your palm. Plant this when you tire of walking. Trees grow faster when watered with secrets. His laugh rattles chain-smoker phlegm and something darker. The coin disappears into his matted nest. Some legends claim 8th century alchemists slept on coin-stuffed pillows to absorb poverty through osmosis. Your thumb traces the pit's grooves, tastes better whole, he coughs. Suck the bitterness. Let it coat your tongue. Prophets' wives chewed them during sieges, starvation trick. Also kept lips shiny for suicides. A lantern flickers for a heartbeat. His crown resembles Almoravid dinar hoards swallowed by the Sahara. He scratches his scalp, coins chiming like distant camel bells. 12 years since I bathed, 53 since the French bulldozed my father's fig orchard. They use tangerine bleach now, the hotel pools. Burns the eyes. His pupils dilate, 2 oil slicks. You've heard rumors of beggars grafting coins to their skin for winter insulation. This one's crown tilts left, weighted by a Spanish peseta from Franco's reign. Wind stirs the market's gauze curtains. The pit warms in your fist, living despite its desiccation. Watch the sparrows, he mutters. When they steal bread here, they fly west. Always west. Stupid birds. His hand darts out, grabs your wrist. Calluses grind bone. In Fez, they stuff couches with unread love letters. Helps with back pain. Try it before you doubt. You pull free. His nails leave crescents, 8 matching the pit's ridges. The fountain gurgles greenish water swirling around orange rinds. A vendor across the lane shouts about cedarwood combs. He's lying, your beggar snorts. That's painted pine. Smells like dead wasps, real cedars reserved for saints' coffins and cheating wives. Your shoeless foot throbs. He notices, grins gap-toothed. They say Imam Malik broke his toe on a scholar's tomb. Refused amputation. Let it ache, he said. All paths end uphill anyway. Rising unsteadily, he adjusts his coin-strung hair. One copper disc slips free, rolls toward the gutter. Neither of you move to catch it. 23 years ago, an Italian tourist kissed me here. He taps a cracked incisor. She tasted of limoncello and melanoma. Gave me this. From his robes, a Polaroid. Faded. 2 faces pressed close, his beard less gray. The woman's hat bears an enamel scorpion pin. Dead now. Breast cancer. I sent her a lock of my hair, postage due. They returned it, stamped, insufficient value. The pit digs into your palm, a dull insistence. Some scholars insist medieval date groves recognize their tenders by saliva pH. He sways, coins whispering. You remember reading about an exiled prince who smuggled treasure in hair gel. Patagonia's museums display his solidified pomade as art. A child's balloon bursts nearby. He flinches, crown tilting further. Go on, plant it near a liar's grave. First sprout eats their fibs. Fruits always sour, but the pits, they remember nothing. His gaze slides past you, fixing on some middle distance. Water clocks, dying muezzins, the way mirages pretend to be lakes. You walk away. The coins in his hair sing a rusty lullaby. Dawn's first light prize at the horizon. The pit nests in your pocket, next to a melted cough drop. Somewhere west, sparrows steal bread. Smoke stings your eyes before you see the source. a brazier coughing juniper resin into the air. The parrot's cage hangs crooked, one rusted hinge weeping orange tears. It croaks your approach. Elf, elf, thief, cards fan across the rug, their edges charred. The fortune teller doesn't look up, her fingers busy, knotting a necklace of crow skulls. Her left earlobe sags, stretched around a Roman coin. Sulla's profile grins green with patina. You've read that Carthaginian seers used chicken entrails to predict naval defeats. This one smells of menthol and burned toast. Sit, she says. The parrot mimics, high-pitched and nasal. You kneel, knees pressing a moth-eaten cushion. It leaks sand. The tower card lies face up near your heel, its lightning-struck spire crumbling. She prods it with a toenail painted with henna. This isn't yours yet. Pick again, with the hand that didn't pet the liar's dog. You reach, charcoal dust ghosts your thumbprint. The lover's. No, wait. The image shifts as you tilt it. Two figures morph into spooning scorpions. Ah, she spits into the brazier. Steam hisses. Historians still argue whether 14th century Venetians invented tarot to cheat at poker or track menstrual cycles. The parrot fluffs its feathers, each plume splotched like a Rorschach test. Bad shrimp. Bad, bad. She tosses a pistachio shell at it. The bird catches the projectile midair, cracks it with a sound like snapping fingers. He was a ship's navigator once. Predicts storms by farting. Sold him for 3 ounces of saffron and a mediocre sonnet. Ash drifts onto the lover's card. The scorpions blur under the gray film. Your heart's a crowded souk. Too many stalls. No protections against pickpockets. She plucks a hair from your sleeve, blows it toward the parrot. The bird swallows the strand. He'll dream your death now. Don't worry, it's probably metaphorical. Or a cheese allergy. Her laugh rasps, a match scraping stone. You notice her necklace isn't skulls after all. Just shriveled apricot pits, carved with tiny eyes. Some desert tribes used to wear dried scorpions as earrings. This feels cheaper. The tower card sticks to your palm, flakes of ink blackening your lifeline. You'll break something expensive or invent pottery. Same difference. She scoops the deck, reshuffles with a flick of her wrist. A 7 of coins flies into the brazier. Flames lick the gilt edges. Oops, let's blame the bird. The parrot squawks, its version of an alibi. Her hand darts out, palms your cheek. Cold, calloused. 1 war, 2 betrayal scars. A childhood nickname that tasted like lemons. The coin in her ear wobbles. Someone's weaving a rug with your mother's hair. Don't ask why. Cheaper than dental floss. Wind flips the remaining cards, exposing the wheel of fortune upside down. The parrot mutters, a perfect imitation of your voice, saying, I should have bought the bigger water bottle. She frowns. He's been like this since Marrakesh got Wi-Fi. Repeats tweets from 2016. Embers glow in the brazier's belly. The tower's ink smudges your thumb. You'll find it staining hotel towels tomorrow. She drops 2 figs into your lap, their skins split like old lips. Free advice. Never trust a camel with gold teeth, or men who read Rumi unironically. The parrot sneezes. She sighs. That means rain. Or he inhaled cardamom again. My third husband collects umbrellas in Valencia. Useless as a screen door on a submarine. Rising, she kicks the brazier. Sparks spiral upward. Go. Before he describes your funeral playlist, you stand. The figs weigh nothing hollowed out. A tiny scroll nestles inside one. Unfurl it later, find a doodle of a pregnant guillotine. The parrot's eyes follow you out, its pupils shrinking to pinpricks. Some swear certain birds carry Byzantine tax curses in their plumage. You rub the charcoal streak, already itching to rewrite its prophecy. You follow the scent of wet stone through a narrowing alley, the fortune teller's charcoal still streaking your thumb. A flicker catches your eye, a crescent-shaped well sunk between two buckling walls. Its mossy lip glistens, as if the stones sweat under some private burden. You lean closer, the air tastes damp and electrical like, licking a battery wrapped in kelp. Your shadow stretches into the blackness below. Hello. The word falls, pauses midair, then climbs back as a warped echo. The sound wiggles, a fish hooked through the throat. Caravans stopped here for centuries. Its waters once cooled the swords of Berber traders marching toward Timbuktu. Now pigeons nest in its pulley system. Rust bleeds down the bricks. The bucket sways, its rope frayed to flaxen threads. You crank the handle, metal shrieks. Each turn unravels a decade of silence. Historians still argue whether this well-marked secret trade routes or simply stored excess floodwater from incompetent planners. The bucket emerges, brimming with liquid night. Stars swim in its surface, their light fractured by ripples. A coin sits at the bottom, green with age. Ottoman script curls across its face. Some pilgrims believed tossing copper here could send messages to the dead. Current theories suggest it just funded a nearby brothel's roof repairs. You skim the water, your fingers come away glittering. The first sip shocks cold as a widow's ring. Voices rise from below, not echoes. Murmurs tangled in a language that clicks and hisses. You freeze. A bubble bursts, releasing a woman's laugh sharpened with hiccups. Around the rim, carved names blur under lichen. One stands out, a crude etching of a ship beside the word Cytox. You've read about French nuns who smuggled psalms in wine barrels during the Albigensian Crusade, none mentioned, drowning their hymnals. The bucket tilts, spilling constellations across your boots. When you blink, a wet handprint glistens on the crank. Not yours. Too large, the fingers splayed like starfish. Down the alley, a cat yowls. The well exhales, a sigh that reeks of decomposing mint. You pocket the coin. It leaves a stain shaped like Corsica on your thigh. 3 more cranks, the bucket vomits brackish sludge. Something clinks, a child's molar threaded onto iron wire. Chew marks groove the enamel. A joke forms what's the going rate for a ghost's baby tooth, but the air swallows it. Wood groans above. A shutter slams, its latch broken. The well's whispers coil around your ankles, tugging toward the dark. You drop the bucket again. It hits water with a wet slap, pulls tight, stops. The rope vibrates, something down, there's holding the other end. Tug of war with the abyss, your blisters burst. The handle spins, whipping rope around your wrist. Call it curiosity. Call it stupidity coated in dread. The bucket rockets upward, dripping something that isn't water, thick, syrupy, the color of oversteeped chamomile. It sloshes over the rim, splattering stones already stained by a millennium of bad decisions. At the bottom, a clay tablet clings to rusted chains. Cuneiform digs, scratches like chicken tracks. Later, scholars will tell you it's a laundry list from Ur. You'll swear it writes itself as you stare, fresh symbols oozing under the muck. Wind riffles the water, erasing your reflection. You half expect the fortune teller's parrot to dive bomb with commentary. Instead, silence. The kind that nests in your ears hatches into tinnitus. The well's final gift, a slimy clump of algae, drips from the bucket. It smells like a biology textbook's guilty pleasure. Footsteps approach, loose cobblestones clattering. You step back, heel crushing the molar into dust. When you glance down, the white powder glows faintly. Moonlight, ground bone phosphorescence. Either way, it's someone else's problem now. The well gurgles, a contented noise. Or maybe it's just digesting. You walk away, the coin's edges pressing through fabric. Somewhere below, water laps against ancient bricks. A hand drags across algae. A nun's hymn dissolves into bubbles, and high above, your abandoned whispers cling to the bucket's underside, fermenting into someone else's epiphany. You turn a corner, the metallic tang still coating your tongue, and nearly trip over a ring of smoldering coals. Embers pulse like dying galaxies under a dancer's soles. Her bare feet stamp, flames leaping to kiss her heels. Ash clings to her indigo hem. Each spin paints charcoal streaks in the air. You've heard of Berber sword dances from desert caravans centuries ago. Warriors used them to map battles in the sand. This feels different. More teeth. The drums stutter. A darbuka player falters mid-beat. His fingers freeze, skin blistered from hours of rhythm. You taste iron again, or is it that blood blister you bit earlier? The dancer's anklets jangle, a sound like pocket change in a washing machine. Her toes curl, fresh embers sear the calluses. No blisters, no screams, just smoke rising in cursive. A vendor sidles up, offering roasted chickpeas in a cone of tax documents. Sufis say she walks on water, he whispers. Boiling water, his breath smells of pickled turnips and wishful thinking. You decline, palms still glittering from the well's offerings. Historians still argue whether these fire dances charted trade routes or just pissed off local fire marshals, the coals dim, gray crust swallowing their glow. She collapses, knees hitting stone with a crack. The crowd exhales. Someone claps. The rhythm feels wrong, like applauding a car crash. Her henna'd hands tremble, palm lines fused with soot. You notice the pattern, not floral. Numbers: 34 degrees 313, N, 4 degrees 5812, W coordinates. Soup recipe. Silk rips as she stands, her costumes torn, seam revealing a scar, jagged like Morocco's coastline etched into her thigh. The drummer offers a goatskin canteen. She spits into the ashes, hissing steam paints her laughter ghost white. A boy hurls a dram into the coals. It melts into a silver slug. Your shoes stick to the cobbles, tar oozing from afternoon heat. Or is it blood? The dancer licks her lips, mouth moving without sound. You catch 3 words in Tunisian Arabic: fire, salt, mother. Her big toenail flips back, a tiny hammered door to raw flesh. She doesn't flinch. The crowd thins, dragged away by oud music and frying lamb. You linger. Bad idea. Her head snaps toward you, eyes reflecting the last ember's corpse. She extends a hand, ash drifting from her fingertips like reverse snow. When you blink, she's gone. Only a warped circle of scorch marks remains. You crouch, fingering the charcoal. It flakes, exposing a mosaic tile beneath. Roman, Phoenician. Either way, someone's dinner plate circa 200 AD. The air reeks of burned hair. A child's sock, singed at the toe, lies abandoned nearby. You pocket it. Souvenir or evidence? Let future, you decide. Wind sweeps through, scattering ashes into your eyes. For a heartbeat, the market smells like a seaside grill. Sardines and regret. When vision clears, a single footprint glows on the stones. Flesh-colored, fresh, leading toward a tent selling counterfeit sunscreen. Drums restart down an alley, their tempo frantic now. They sound hungry. You follow. Of course you follow. The dancer's voice curls around a corner, a lullaby about scorpion battles. Each step crunches. You glance down. Charcoal shards pierce your soles, or maybe they're bone fragments. Markets full of surprises. Her silhouette waits at a dead end, backlit by a flickering neon crescent. Modernity's vandalism. She peels off her henna sleeves, revealing arms mapped by burns, some old, some pink and glossy. You count 17. Or is that a tattoo of ants? Blink. Just scars again. The dancer snaps, her thumb and middle finger sparking. Actual sparks. Your retinas scream. She grins, a gold molar flashing. Familiar. You check your pocket. The child's sock has twins. Fire crackles in her palm. A tiny sun she balances on her septum ring. Neon buzzes overhead, the moon's drunk cousin. When she inhales, the flame stretches into a filament. You mutter, OSHA would hate this. She laughs, a sound like gas igniting. Ancient engineers once pumped groundwater through plaza tiles to cool performers' feet. But this is just showing off. She blows, the fire births a smoke ring. It floats, a lasso aiming for your head. You duck. It dissolves against a poster warning about pickpockets. Their inked eyes melt, Dali-esque and judgmental. The dancer sighs, disappointed or bored. Her big toe draws a symbol in the dirt. A stick figure riding a scorpion. Boots clomp nearby security or disgruntled pyrophobics. She presses the dying ember to her tongue, light snuffed between her teeth. Darkness swallows her. You stand alone, holding socks and stupid choices. The neon crescent sputters its light, now the exact hue of raw liver. Your shadow stretches east, 12 extra fingers rippling on the wall. Or maybe that's just fatigue. The market's heartbeat fades, replaced by the hiss of hoses cleaning scorch marks. Water pools around your ankles. It steams. The molten pools shimmer, quicksilver pirouettes under a crescent moon. A locksmith fans his forge, bellows wheezing like asthmatic owls. His tools glint, twisted metal, birthing skeleton keys. Each click-clack of his tongs mirrors the retreating drums, their hunger, now sated by distance. You count 19 keys hanging from his stall, all snaggle-toothed and whispering secrets. He nudges a clay cup toward you, thick liquid, inside reeks of burnt almonds. Night oil, he rasps, stolen from Byzantine monks. They used it to lubricate cathedral locks. The steam curls into a question mark. Historians still argue whether medieval monks greased God's doors or just their own, private reliquaries. Your finger brushes a key, its teeth scrape your palm. Tiny crescents bloom, red micromoons. The locksmith grunts, a sound like a rusty hinge. That one's fresh, he says. Forged from Sultan Hassan's chamber pot. His laugh reveals 3 gold teeth. Or are they brass? Flames leap, reflected in his sweat-slick forehead. Molten metal drips, frozen midair into a stalactite. You've seen this technique before in Fez's coppersmith quarter. 14th century craftsmen called it the silver tear, but here the glow feels wrong. Greener, like swamp light. He plunges a rod into the vat, liquid metal coats it like caramel. Keys aren't for doors here, Habibi, he murmurs. They're for memories. His breath smells of solder and turmeric. A scar crosses his throat, crude, stitching holding skin together. Accident. Or a keyhole someone tried to pick. The forge hisses, water meets fire. Steam envelops the stall, your clothes cling like wet papyrus. Through the haze, the key in your hand warps. Its teeth lengthen, resembling a thumbnail ripped sideways. The metal pulses, or is that your own blood? A cat yowls, telltale sizzle of paw meets hot coals. The locksmith curses into Mazite, words sharp as lockpicks. You pocket the key. Its weight tugs your jacket sideways. Careful, he warns. That one's bitten 7 owners. His eyeballs reflect twin forges, pupils reduced to pinholes. Across the alley, a vendor sells authentic Roman skeleton keys. 3 teens haggle, flipping a counterfeit ducat between them. The locksmith spits. A glob lands on the ducat. It bubbles, eats through the coin like acid. 1980s Tunisian tin, he scoffs. Worthless. Wind shifts, smoke coils around your ankles. Somewhere a shutter bangs. The locksmith freezes, tongs suspended mid-drip. They're coming, he whispers. No theatrics, just a fact. The liquid metal solidifies midair, a jagged icicle of silver. He snaps it off, hands it to you for bargaining. His palm leaves a snail trail of solder on your wrist. Voices approach, clipped French and guttural Arabic. Suits, police, thieves. The locksmith kicks sand over his forge, embers die with a whimper. Find the cabinet with owl eyes, he hisses. Third hinge from the left. He vanishes behind a rug, dyed the exact shade of midnight. You slip into the crowd, clutching the key and makeshift dagger. The metal icicle warms, softening in your grip. Ahead, a wooden cabinet leans against a wall. Carved owl eyes stare, their irises chipped lapis lazuli. Third hinge rusts, flakes coating your fingertips. The key slides in resistance. Then a click, like a jaw unclenching. Inside, a single corked vial rests on velvet. The liquid inside swirls, smoke trapped in glycerin. A note in Andalusian script for the dancers burns. Across the lane, the forge lies dark. Only a cooling puddle of metal remains, shaped like a thumbprint. The cabinet creaks, hinges sagging into sawdust. You pocket the vial. Footsteps echo, polished shoes slap stone. Time to go. But the key sticks, jammed in the lock. Yank harder, it comes free with a screech. Teeth now stained oak brown. The locksmith's laughter drifts from nowhere or everywhere. Dawn's first light leaks, blue dye seeping into sky. Your shadow stretches toward the market's edge, key-shaped bulge in its silhouette. Some say Marrakesh's locksmiths encoded messages for spies during the Cold War, tiny scrolls hidden in hollow keys. Others swear they're just really into metalwork. The vial warms against your thigh, a second heartbeat. You glance back. The cabinet's gone. In its place, a child stacks charcoals into a wobbly tower. Their hands gleam covered in solder. They grin, all gums and defiance. The key in your palm thrums, alive or imagined. Your shoes squelch night's residue clinging to soles. That tarry ooze again, or fresh blood. Doesn't matter. The market stirs, shutters rasp open. A donkey brays, its saddlebags clinking with counterfeit coins. You melt into the crowd, the key's teeth nipping your skin with every step. Ahead, the scent of bread and inevitable regrets. But first, a detour. The dancers' scorch marks linger, now outlined in chalk. Police tape flutters, useless as a cobweb. You uncork the vial, thick smoke pours out. Lavender and wet charcoal. It curls toward the ashes, absorbing them. The vial gains weight, a thimbleful of night now captive. Footsteps behind you, leather soles on stone. No time for poetry. You flee past a stall selling used souls, half price. The vendor winks, holding up a mirror. Your reflection sports 3 new silver teeth. The key's bite burns, a tattoo forming. Probably just sweat. The muezzin's first call shivers the air, a needle through silk. Lanterns gutter, their light fleeing dawn's approach. You grip the key until metal grooves map your palm, a lifeline or a trap. Choices, choices. Somewhere a locksmith chuckles. Somewhere a dancer's blistered soles tap Morse code on hot sand. You walk, rain-warped timbers groan under the weight of half-carved chairs, their legs mid-kick toward unseen foes. A carpenter squints, needle-thin slivers of cedar jut from his beard like misplaced arrows. Caravansary beams, he mutters, from Fez, where they built mosques to outlive the stars. His thumb strokes a worm-eaten codex, its leather binding mummified by time. You lean closer. Termite trails vein the pages, glyphs nibbled into riddles, who wears crowns of ink and wings of dust. The sawdust air pricks your throat pollen from a library's slow decay. The carpenter's chisel taps the bench, Morse code for impatience. Beetle poets, he says, oldest scribes in Marrakesh, don't charge by the word. He flips a page, sentences end mid-curse. A love letter, recipe, suicide note. The insects left only vowels behind, consonants dissolved in acidic spit. Historians still argue whether 15th century termites favored religious texts. Their enzymes digest heresy faster. The carpenter smirks. My girls prefer romance. Drama, the juiciest verbs. A splintered paragraph catches your eye. The mason's third wife buried her, the rest devoured. Your finger traces the damage rough as a cat's tongue. They're waiting, the carpenter says. He offers a chisel, edge polished by decades of false starts. Carve your own ending, or a better lie. Wind riffles the book. Pages fan open. A woodlouse scuttles across the word betrayal. You press the chisel tip to parchment. It sinks too easily. The tome's spine creaks. Letters bloom under your blade. She hid the sultan's pearls. In the sentence crumbles, eaten before completion. Fleet-footed critics, the carpenter chuckles. He blows sawdust from your knuckles, it glitters like fool's gold. His apron pockets bulge with grubs, translucent larvae squirming toward the light. Ink makers pay top dirham for their spit. Secret ingredient gives shine to royal decrees. You try again. The chisel carves, the well where shadows. A termite emerges, antennae quivering. It devours shadows, replaces it with doves. The carpenter nods. Collaboration. His whetstone screeches, steel sings. 3 off-key notes echo the muezzin's distant call. Dawn gilds the stall's canopy, patched with carpets from a vizier's ruined tent. The book trembles, a live thing now. You etch one final word. Escape. The termites surge, mandibles clicking applause. Pages disintegrate, fragments swirl into a miniature sandstorm. The carpenter sneezes, sawdust explodes from his nostrils. Gesundheit, you mutter. Too late, the book collapses into confetti. Only your added words remain, floating like ash above the debris. Escape lands in his tea, ink bleeding into bergamot. He drinks it. Not bad. The chisel warms in your hand, handle sprouting hairline cracks. Grain patterns shift, forming a map of underground rivers. Or maybe veins. The carpenter tucks a grub behind your ear, cold, wriggling jewelry. For inspiration. Shouts erupt. A donkey overturns a spice cart. Cinnamon tsunamis across the cobbles. The carpenter vanishes behind a carving of a 2-headed lion its paws clutching dice. You slip away, chisel humming against your thigh. Scholars still whisper about labyrinth cellars beneath the market, storehouses for banned books. The grub nibbles your earlobe painless. A tiny ink blot forms. You scratch it, your finger comes away stained indigo. Across the square, the carpenter waves, holding up a fresh codex. Termites seethe inside like living punctuation. Your shadow stretches, chisel tip elongating into a minaret. Dawn's arrived, but the night's ink lingers. Some say Marrakesh's carpenters built the first printing press, wooden type sliced from Mehndi patterns. Others blame termites for half of Ibn Battuta's lost journals. The grub falls asleep, it snores softer than blinked tears. You pocket the chisel. Blade feels lighter now, a fraction of its edge left behind in the book's corpse. Ahead, the scent of tamarind and unresolved endings. Somewhere, a spoon clinks, stirring metaphors into coffee. Your stomach growls. The grub wakes, vibrates in protest. Priorities right. But the chisel itches, begging for another page. Not yet. The key in your pocket thrums in agreement or competition. Choices, choices. The chisel's weight pulls you toward a stall reeking of sea salt and vinegar. Rows of spiral shells glisten under a fraying tarp. A woman cracks one open with practiced cruelty. Slick flesh quivers in its brine coffin. Special tonight, regret sauce, she croaks. Secret recipe since the Ottomans. Your stomach flip-flops. Historians note Sultan Murad III once demanded Marrakesh's snails for Istanbul's kitchens. The vendor stabs a toothpick into the mollusk. It curls like a dying finger. You chew. Brine stings your gums unbidden. You recall that summer in Algiers, the fight over pilfered figs. Regret sauce lives up to its name. A man laughs behind you, sharp as shattered crockery. His dentures click relics from a French dental expo, 1972. Rain-darkened cobbles reflect his face. Too much nose, not enough chin. The vendor slides another snail, this one oozing caramelized guilt. Eat. It gets worse. 16th century cooks believed snail slime cured melancholy, or caused it. You suck the shell, a childhood habit. The stranger's cologne hits you, vetiver and burnt coffee. His laugh again. Familiar. You spin, he's gone. The stall's lantern gutters. Shadows warp the snail shells into miniature storm clouds. A drop of sauce slides down your wrist, stains your sleeve like a sins-only stigmata. The vendor leans close, her breath smells of pickled limes. He comes here every Laylat al-Qadr. Orders 12. Eats none. Shells crunch underfoot. Someone's grinding memories into the pavement. You spot him now, hunched over a communal pot, stirring with a key. Your key. The one from the locksmith. His spoon clinks. Each strike mirrors the muezzin's next door. Historians still argue whether street vendors doubled as spies during the Saadian dynasty. Menus encoded with troop movements. The woman grabs your elbow. Don't. Her grip's stronger than expected, knuckles scarred from snail tongs. That's Abu's pot. Lets travelers cook their leftovers. You glance at the chisel, its blade glints hungry. Abu hums a lullaby about drowned sailors. Your feet move anyway. The pot burbles, a stew of saffron threads and something meatier. Abu's reflection shivers on the surface for a heartbeat. He's you, or who you were last Thursday. He ladles liquid into a snail shell, offers it. They never tell you about the aftertaste. You sip. Memory floods your tongue, stolen apricots from a Marrakesh orchard 35 years ago. 50. The orchard's gone now, replaced by a hotel shaped like a crashed UFO. Abu's teeth flash. Nostalgia's a dish best served tepid. My grandmother used rosewater, you rasp. He shrugs, stirs in a handful of caraway seeds. They swirl, forming a vortex. A tiny hand breaches the surface, snail or infant, gone before you decide. Your earlobe throbs, the carpenter's grub writhes. Indigo drips onto your collar. Abu licks his lips. East Tower's best ink. How much for the worm? You step back, shell shattering under your heel. Regret sauce seeps into cracks. Ants swarm the sugar rush. The vendor's laugh follows you, an octave too high. Was that your mother's cadence? Better not to ask. Some swear snail vendors add ground lapis, lazuli to their brine, guaranteed hallucinations. A child sprints past, snail shell necklace clattering. Abu's pot boils over. Saffron steam blurs his face into a watercolor smear. The grub gnaws your ear, a hieroglyphic itch. You press the chisel to a nearby wall, carve forget. Stone resists, the blade skids. Cumin-scented wind erases 10 letters. Your untouched snail cools on the counter, its shell, patterned like an unreadable map. The vendor pockets it, whispers to the next customer. That one's haunted. 5 dirham extra. Abu's ladle scrapes the pot's bottom, a metallic shriek that unspools your last argument with Miriam. Dawn bleeds through market canopies, you're miles from the gate. Or minutes. Time curdles here, thick as snail jelly. Abu's voice curls around you, smoke from a long dead fire. Come back at eclipse, he says. We'll cook your shadow. The grub sneezes. Ink sprays your cheek. The vendor's tarp flaps, revealing jars of pickled scorpions. Their tails curl into question marks. Abu's pot sits empty now, a dry fountain choked with caraway corpses. You swallow the aftertaste, apricot pits, and unsent apologies. A hand clamps your shoulder, the stranger from earlier. His laugh's softer now, a wheeze through broken reeds. They forget, he says. The sauce works better if you pay beforehand. Coins jingle in his palm. 5 tarnished dirhams from the Almoravid era. Authentic, irrelevant. Liquid silver pools in the cracked mortar. The muezzin's final note dissolves overhead. You pocket the coins. Let the next traveler decipher their faces. Some say the snails here sing if boiled alive, their spirals scoring requiems. You heard nothing. The chisel gleams, reflecting Abu as he fades into the spice smog. His ladle hangs midair, a question mark in wrought iron. Your grub snores, indigo bubbles between its coils. One truth survives the brine. Every feast here leaves you emptier. Yet you lick the shell anyway, salt and venom, and the ghost of someone else's quarrel. Your sandal sticks to something, dried indigo, half a teapot. The potter's quarter reeks of wet earth left in the rain too long. A spinning wheel shrieks, its rotation reverses as you approach. Clay writhes under calloused thumbs. A vase's neck collapses into shapeless sludge. The potter sighs a sound that braids with the muezzin's distant Allahu Akbar. You crouch beside buckets of slip, the consistency of week-old porridge. Two boys kick a kiln-fired jug between them. Each thud chips off glazed lotus petals. 13th century Almoravid cisterns used clay pipes thicker than your arm. This lot's better at breaking history than preserving it. The potter slaps new mud onto his wheel, fingers carving valleys that refuse to hold shape. Happens every Maghrib, he mutters. Dust motes swarm his face, tan skin turned ghostly in the ashy light. His foot pumps the treadle backward, clockwise defiance against some unseen law. Legend claims a Sufi mystic cursed this square's clay after a child drowned in a dye vat. But the real culprit's probably lazy maintenance. A stall girl offers you a cracked cup by Smilla. She grins, its handle shaped like a scorpion's tail. Mint tea steeps too fast. Bittersweet steam scalds your lip. The potter growls. His latest attempt now resembles a deflated lung. They want perfect symmetry, he spits. But the earth remembers being wild. You trace a thumb over a misfired plate. Its zigzag pattern mirrors earthquake fissures under the Atlas Mountains. Some say potters hear whisper secrets into the kiln glazes, changing hue based on lies told. The man hurls his lump of clay. It slaps the wall with a wet smack. A cat bolts tail puffed like a charcoal brush. Let you try, he snaps. Your palms sink into the cold sludge, grainy against hangnails. The wheel spins left, your wrists jerk like a marionette's. Centrifugal force betrays you, the mound flattens into a warped platter. Ah, he nods. Now you see. Historians still argue whether Marrakesh's clay contains magnetized particles from meteor strikes, or if all potters here just suck. You flick a gob at the kiln. It sizzles into ceramic confetti. The stall girl giggles, her apron stained with centuries worth of failed experiments. The potter grabs your ruined platter, stabs a hole through its center. Gift, he rasps. Hang it up. Confuse pigeons. Up close, his eyes are red-rimmed irises, the matte brown of unglazed terracotta. 3 generations of his family threw pots on the same spot. Grandfather's kiln now holds a fig tree's roots. Shadows lengthen. The call to prayer fades into crows, bickering over bread crusts. The potter kicks his wheel, it spins freely, squealing like a tortured djinn. His next attempt rises tall and narrow, a graceful amphora, until the base buckles. Wet clay oozes between his toes. He doesn't flinch. You sip cold tea, sediment gritty on your tongue. Some claim drinking from a backward spun vessel cures indecision, but you still can't choose between fleeing or laughing. The stall girl slaps a new lump down again. She chirps. The potter groans, clay already spiraling out of control. Your pocket vibrates, the carpenter's grub nibbling lint. Indigo drool seeps through the fabric, a Rorschach blot of poor life choices. The potter notices, snorts. Worms hate pottery, he says. Reminds them they'll never hold water. The platter warps further on its nail, now resembling a Salvador Dali clock. Pigeons indeed circle it, heads cocked. Sunset turns the quarter the color of a healing bruise. Kiln fires wink awake, each one a cyclops eye judging tonight's doomed creations. He offers you a shard, edges serrated like a shark's grin. Scrape off your name, he says. When you hesitate, he shrugs, carves his own into the wheel's base. The letters liquefy, reform as Arabic numerals, then something older. You pocket the shard anyway. Behind you, the stall girl hums, off-key, as she stacks plates that'll likely crack by dawn. The potter sinks his hands into a fresh clay mound, eyes closed now. The wheel spins right for once. A perfect curve emerges. It collapses before you can cheer. His sigh knots with wood smoke, the market's nightly metamorphosis underway. Your fingers find the grub. It sculpted a tiny clay turban during the fiasco. Abu's voice drifts through the chaos, careful that one's a critic. Laughter escapes you sharp and sudden, echoing off jugs that'll never hold wine. The potter startles, then joins in. Two fools cackling at gravity. Above, the first stars flicker, equally unimpressed by mortal attempts at permanence. The stairs groan, each crumbling tile threatening to deposit you into someone's cucumber salad. A silver donkey blocks the third-floor landing, its glare suggesting a disgruntled yoga instructor. You squeeze past, honeycomb mortar dusting your shoulder like toxic glitter. The final ladder's missing 4 rungs your knees recall every poor life choice since breakfast. Wind slaps your face first, a wet towel of sewage and burnt almonds. The rooftop stretches cracked and pigeon-stained, patched with license plates and goat hides. Laundry lines sag under jalabas that'll never fully dry. You tow a rusted satellite dish, its bent face trained on a galaxy of dead soap operas. Marrakesh's ochre ramparts sprawl below 12th century walls built from blood and limestone. They say the Sultan mixed mortar with egg whites during Ramadan, though that's likely just hungry historians projecting. Lanterns now outnumber stars, strung between minarets like drunken fireflies. Somewhere down there, the potter's kiln coughs smoke, a dying man's last cigar. The horizon flickers, not lightning, but fires. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Orange tongues lick at the high Atlas foothills, a serpent's fork tasting the plains. Bedouin camps, brushfires, secret raves for Berber witches. Your thumb finds the pottery shard, its edge nibbles at your recklessness. A boy materializes, offering lukewarm snails from a hubcap. You decline. He shrugs, flicks one at a gull. The bird dodges. Its screech blends with motorbikes throttling through the Medina. 12% of Marrakesh's rooftops collapse annually. Statistics murmur through the cracks under your soles. You lean over the parapet, stomach swooping as a moat zips through the gap below. Decades of political slogans stain the walls, faded Arabic curses, and hand-drawn fart jokes. A cat delivers a pigeon to its kittens. Feathers drift upward, defying the city's gravity. The fires pulse closer now, optical illusion or encroaching arson. 1782, same glow, lit the sky when Sultan Mohammed I torched rebel villages. Or maybe it was just a really enthusiastic barbecue. The wind shifts, ash kisses your eyelashes. Tastes like Sunday bonfires and bad decisions. A grandmother emerges, blanket clutched to her chest. She spits a sunflower seed husk. It arcs toward the Souk. Without looking, she mutters, "Full moon's fault." Always stirs up the gin. Her slippers scritch back inside, leaving you with the eerie certainty that her blanket's breathing. You count flames. Lose track at 34. Map their positions, forming a wobbly hexagon. A child's drawing of a flower. Historians still argue whether the Kautaubia Mosque's sister tower was left unfinished by design, or if the architect just sucked at math. Below, a tour group stumbles from a cocktail bar, phones raised to capture the apocalyptic ambience. Something brushes your ankle, a propane hose snaking toward a shisha lounge. You follow it past solar panels crusted with pigeon shit. A teen slouches on a mattress, glowing phone reflected in his aviators, points lazily to a paint-can stool. Sit, look, don't fall. His lighter clicks, illuminating a cheek still smooth as ceramic. The hose hisses, scented tobacco curls into a scorpion shape before dissolving. He nods toward the fires. They say burn the old thorns, make room for new demons. You squint. Is that a camel's silhouette crossing a ridge? Probably just a prickly pear cactus. Or exhaustion. The city hums, a beehive smothered in amplifier feedback. Your watch stopped at 9:17. Doesn't matter here. Time's measured in muezzin calls and kerosene refills. The teen offers the hose, mouthpiece glistening. You wave it off. He smirks, scared. My cousin's goat hit this last Tuesday, still chewing walls. A distant explosion rattles teacups on some unseen windowsill. Fireworks. Landmine. Gender reveal party gone predictably Moroccan. Your pottery shard warms, pulse sinking with the horizon's flicker. Shadow puppets dance in a fourth-floor window. A rabbit decapitating a king. During protectorate days, dissidents used such shows to mock French officials until someone snitched for a bag of sugar. The mattress creaks, teen gone. A half-smoked cigarette smolders. Perry the platypus doodled in Sharpie on the filter. You pocket it as one does. The fires now outline a jagged crown, 8 peaks. 9. Wind gusts. Your left contact lens rebels. Footsteps echo in the stairwell, heavy, limping. A man emerges, robes singed at the hem, reeks of singed hair and regret. He clutches a binder, brown goo leaking through its seams, avoids eye contact, sits where the teen lounged. A pigeon lands, pecking at his sandal sole. He sighs, the universal sigh of men who have argued with goats. His binder oozes, now pooling like motor oil. They told me beeswax would hold voice crumbling like underbaked emsemen. You offer a napkin patterned with cartoon camels. He declines, stares at the horizon. My uncle tended signal fires during the resistance. Burned cow dung to mislead bombers. The admission floats between you, so fragile you both pretend not to hear it. Laughter erupts from a rooftop, 3 doors down, 3 women, belly dancing around a hibachi grill. Skirts swirl, their shadows merge into a hydra against the city walls. One waves a skewered lamb heart, grease dripping onto geraniums. You're definitely hallucinating the heart's heartbeat. The man leaves, binder sludge trailing behind him. A feral cat starts licking it. Wise choice. The fires dim, as if someone turned a cosmic dimmer switch. Yet the air tastes heavier, charged with unsparked lightning. Yawns crack your jaw, the kind that rewires your spine. You count 11 lit, cigarettes across the skyline, red dots, like grounded constellation. A drone buzzes overhead, capturing rooftop vistas for lifestyle blogs. The teen returns cradling a rooster with duct-taped talons. Stay till sunrise, he shrugs. Watch the smoke eat the sky. His phone plays Chabai remix, auto-tune clashing with the rooster's croak. You decline. Stairs feel riskier after midnight, each shadow nursing plans of its own. The pottery shard tugs your pocket, not literally, but you get the urge. Halfway down, you glance back. Flames bloom anew, clustering into what could be a hand, or a map, or absolutely nothing. Dawn's first smear grays the east. Vendors roll up prayer mats, prepping for the day's bargaining. Your shadow stretches down the alley, thin and flickering, its fingertips brushing a potter's bloodshot eyes across town. The city exhales, carbon monoxide mingling with mint. A breath held since the Almoravids first stacked these bricks. The cobbler's hymn fades as you spot a shoeshine stool, cobbled from car battery casings, its patina of wax decades thick. A man beckons, fingernails blackened beyond redemption. His mirror hangs crooked, a windshield snippet wedged in cedar. Sit, he rasps, voice like matchboxes shaken in a tin can. You comply, leather creaking under thighs that regret yesterday's stairwell marathons. His rag snaps, gunk smelling of burnt tires and myrrh. First, pass strips away dusk, revealing scuffs etched by goat trails and indecision. Marrakesh's polishers once mixed acacia, sap with soot, same recipe, since Moulay Ismail's slaves scrubbed jackboots clean. Your left loafer shines, a black hole swallowing street lamp glare. The mirror clouds your reflection, blinks first. Hot today, you mumble, defaulting to tourist inanity. He grunts, dabbing polish behind your ear. Did he just? The jar label peaks, Arabic script overlaid with a cartoon scorpion. A drip hits your sock, stings like iodine. His thumb smears it, leaving a mark like Morocco's coastline. 3 dirham, he says, then pauses. Or 3 memories. The tradesman's grin reveals a molar capped with gold foil. Wind flips the mirror, your face fragments. Stubble becomes beard, becomes smudged charcoal. Pupils flare, briefly match the fires still smoldering beyond the Medina. Some say these mirrors channel water cellar ghosts, though that's probably just dehydration talking. You choose coins. He tuts, polishes harder. Second offers cheaper. I take trivial ones, a pin number, that strangers laugh in Fez. The taste of your first nicotine. Lanterns gutter their oil spent. Historians still argue whether shoeshine gazes were used to tail French spies during the Protectorate. Your right shoe gleams, doubling the alley's lamplight. The mirror steams. A face swims up yours, but older. A scar bisects the chin, like the ravine near Ait Ben Hadou. The image mouths words, no sound. You lean closer, Polish hits your eye. Blinded, you flail, stool tipping. The cobbler steadies you, hand icy despite the heat. Small price, he chuckles. Better than losing Dakar 90 or her name. Rubbing vision back, you spot the mirror's truth. Your hair now sports 2 silver streaks. The polisher packs up, stowing his poisons. Dawn's first muezzin wails. He vanishes into an alley, whistling a gimme shelter riff. Your soles reflect the sky pink and scalded. A beetle crosses your toes, eclipse, carrying crumbs of what might be a fortune cookie factory defect. You walk away lighter, though that could just be the missing blister. The sting of lost memories fades. As you kick a pebble, it ricochets off a wall, plastered with concert posters from the 60s. A donkey's cry splits the air, like a rusty hinge, protesting 1,000 openings. Hooves clatter on cobblestones worn smooth by generations of traders. A cart careens around the corner, its wheels wobbling with the desperation of a spinning top. Pomegranates spill, rolling toward storm drains in a crimson avalanche. You grab one mid-fall, its skin cool and dimpled like lunar terrain. The merchant shouts, words swallowed by the animal's panicked gallop. Your thumbnail breaches the rind, seeds burst free, each glistening like a freshly cut jewel. Juice trickles down your wrist, staining veins ruby, until you resemble an anatomical diagram gone opulent. Marrakesh's donkeys once carried saffron and salt along routes that predate Ibn Battuta's travels centuries before they hauled tourist trinkets. This beast's load suggests a fiercer purpose. Burst sacks leak turmeric and tamarind, powders swirling into ochre ghosts. The driver curses, his dialect thick with Atlas mountain grit. He rights the cart with a heave, muscles straining under a faded t-shirt, featuring an obscure Belgian synth band. Historians still argue whether the pomegranate's 12 chambers inspired the 12 gates of Marrakesh's ancient ramparts, or if it's just a happy coincidence for souvenir sellers. A bead of juice hits your tongue, tangy enough to make your molars tingle. You count seeds absently 19, 20, 37, and give up when a vendor across the lane winks, holding up 5 fingers, special price for the thief. He calls, though whether he means you or the donkey remains delightfully unclear. Dust motes swirl in the donkey's wake, golden in the slanting light. Your stolen fruit feels heavier now, as though absorbing the market's noise. A child tugs your sleeve, offering a tin cup of almonds for 1 seed, just 1. Her braids clink, tiny bells woven into the strands. You trade a single ruby aril for 2 almonds, a deal skewed in her favor. She grins, revealing a gap where a milk tooth surrendered to nougat. Legends claim the first pomegranate sprouted from a djinn's spilled blood, hence its crown-like calyx. You tear off a chunk, pulp clings to your chin like ceremonial war paint. Somewhere, a grandmother scowls. This is why tourists shouldn't snack and stroll. The donkey brays again, now accompanied by a scooter backfaring. Together, they sound like a jazz duet for discordant souls. You pass a cafe where men argue over mint ratios in tea, their glasses fogging the air. One slams his fist, sugar cubes jump, the pomegranate's heart reveals itself, a cluster of seeds pale as dawn. These, the locals say, contain fragments of lost dreams. You pop 3 in your mouth, they taste of nothing, but faint regret and Parisian perfume sampled once in a duty-free lounge. The cart disappears into a side street, donkey's ears flopping like semaphore flags. Your hand drips nectar, attracting a comet's tail of flies. You wipe it on a tapestry hung too low. The wool absorbs the stain. Embroidered camels, now sporting blushing humps. The weaver doesn't look up. Her loom's clatter suggests she's used to such indignities. Shadows lengthen, stretching market stalls into funhouse versions of themselves. A henna artist grabs your clean wrist. Let me fix that sticky mess. Her brush swirls, transforming juice splatters into lotus blossoms. The design itches as though roots burrow into your skin. She hums a tune you recognize from a surf rock cover band's only hit, globalization, at its quirkiest. Full now, or maybe just stained beyond salvage, you lob the pomegranate husk toward a pyramid of dates. It lands perfectly atop a spiky king, crowning the heap. The date seller doffs an imaginary hat. You respond with a bow slightly deeper than irony permits. 2 teenagers snap a photo. Hash waist, not goals captioned before the shutter even clicks. The muezzins call threads through the market's din, a needle-pulling twilight. Your shoes still gleam from the polisher's sorcery. Reflected in their surface, a pomegranate seed winks like a miniature stoplight. You crush it under heel, its pop swallowed by the crowd's murmur. 3 dirham, or 3 memories. Turns out some bargains cling longer than polish stench. Incense drifts through the alley, sandalwood, and something muskier, like charred caramel. A boy sleeps curled against a crumbling wall, joss sticks smoldering near his feet. Ash collects on his eyelids. Each breath makes the gray powder shimmer. No blanket, just a burlap sack embroidered with football team logos fraying at the seams. You count 8 coins in your pocket. Their edges bite your palm through the fabric. The joss sticks, smoke spirals into the shape of a minaret, then collapses as a passing vendor kicks up dust. Marrakesh's incense trade once lured Sufi mystics and Venetian merchants, their ships heavy with ambergris and oud. This bundle smells cheaper, likely cut with crushed acacia bark. Historians still debate whether 12th century spice caravans added henna to mask rot, or if that's just apothecary lore. A fly lands on the boy's cheek. He doesn't stir. His fingertips bear faded orange stains, turmeric or henna, or both. You kneel, the cobblestones imprint your knees with a pattern like lizard scales. Up close, his breathing sounds like a seashell's hollow sigh. Your shadow falls across his face. One eye twitches open, pupil wide enough to swallow the crescent moon. He sits up, ash cascading from his lashes. Without a word, he offers a date pit polished smooth by thumb tips. The air between you hums, bargaining without language. You extend a coin. He shakes his head, pointing to the joss sticks. Their smoke now forms a lopsided heart, dissolving as a coughing fit seizes him. Rumor claims some street children sleep near incense to ward off night whispering. Ghostly pleas from Marrakesh's unburied plague victims. You press the coin into his palm anyway, cool metal against feverish skin. His grip tightens, the date pit left behind in your hand, still warm. 3 stray dogs materialize, sniffing the air where smoke lingers. One nuzzles your knee, tongue rasping against denim. Its collar dangles a crescent pendant, tarnished black. The boy giggles, a sound like wind chimes wrapped in wool, and scratches the dog's mangy ear. You rise, coins jangling a guilty tune. His gaze follows the sound, hungry but resigned, as if he's learned even copper rarely stays. A shopkeeper across the alley watches, grinding spices with a mortar and pestle. Cinnamon and cumin sting your throat, or is that the incense? The boy arranges his joss sticks into a star pattern, ash motes swirling like confetti at a silent parade. Some claim the indentured servants of sultans communicated through smoke signals, a theory scholars dismiss as romantic nonsense. Your shoe squeaks, the boy's head snaps toward the sound. For a heartbeat, his eyes glaze milky, then clear again. You step back, date pit clutched too tight. The dogs disperse, tails low. By the time you reach the alley's end, the incense smoke has braided itself into a rope, climbing toward stars that wink like spilled salt. Your pockets sag, the coins no lighter for having given one away. The alley dumps you into an oven's embrace, heat blasting your cheeks like a jealous lover. Flatbread blisters on clay tiles, each bubble cracking into topographic maps of nowhere. A man slaps dough, his forearms glazed with flour and old burns. One scar twists from wrist to elbow, raised flesh mimicking Africa's coastline. You blink, Sudan becomes Mali under a trickle of sweat. Marrakesh's communal bakeries once obeyed strict laws. Sultan Al-Mansur decreed ovens must burn almond wood to avoid smoky bread. This one reeks of olive pits and desperation. The baker scowls, shoving a peel into the furnace. Embers cling to the blade. They die midair like miniature comets. He plucks a loaf, using fingertips calloused beyond pain. Steam uncurls, carrying whispers of za'atar and regret. You trade a coin for bread hotter than a midsummer cobblestone. The crust scorches your tongue, char flirtations with toasted sesame. Historians still argue whether 15th century bakers encoded messages in bread patterns, love notes, or treason in the fold lines. Your teeth sink into softness, a flavor like grandmothers and drought years. The baker stretches, Africa scar rippling. A fringe theory claims some ovens doubled as tattoo parlors, brands pressed onto dough and skin alike. His burn shines unnervingly precise. Libya's Gulf of Sidra hooks just south of his elbow. A fly drowns in your sesame oil pool legs, kicking at the golden horn of Djibouti. You nod toward his arm. He slaps another dough slab onto the peel. Fell asleep against a kiln. He grunts, too rehearsed. The scar's edges show deliberate ridges, mountain ranges, or bad luck. Wood smoke stings your eyes as he feeds the fire. Around you, flatbreads bubble into ephemeral nations. Kalahari deserts in crust, Congolian rainforests in char. You lick salt from your thumb. Sudan's Nile Valley stretches across his flexing tricep. Rumor says wartime bakers baked coins into loaves for resistance funds, digested treasures never reclaimed. The man's cough rattles, a phlegmy harmattan wind. You tear another bite. The burnt aftertaste conjures a memory. Childhood bonfires, stolen sweet potatoes, a brother who laughed with half his teeth. He notices your stare, yanks his sleeve down. Flour snows onto the scar. Some claim certain burns glow under moonlight guides for desert wanderers. You'll never know, dawn is hours off, and your souls already itch for the next street. A breadcrumb trail of sesame leads you out, each seed glinting like a misplaced star. Behind you, the peel scrapes clay, another nation born, another consigned to ash. The sesame stars lead to a stall sagging under cloth mountains, indigo waves, saffron sunsets, a woolen sandstorm mid-burst. Threads crisscross overhead, moth-eaten silk quivers like aged nerves. A loom dominates the chaos, its warp strings taut as tripwires. You step closer. A half-woven camel disintegrates as threads snap, one by one, legs vanishing, hump unraveling into a woolen sigh. The weaver doesn't look up. Her hands hover, palms upturned, as if catching rain. The pattern wanted to escape, she murmurs. Her braids swing, each strand threaded with spun silver. 8th century Almoravid weavers pioneered diamond motifs, their geometry precise as star charts. This loom rebels, angles softening into Rorschach blots. A skein of crimson yarn rolls toward your foot. You stoop, the dye stains your thumbnail. Medieval dyers used crushed cochineal beetles for red. This shade reeks of vinegar and dead lines. The weaver snorts. Stolen pigment cheaper than a bride's henna. Her joke lands like a dropped spool. She yanks a lever, the heddle screeches. A dozen threads surrender, the rug's border becomes fringe. Historians still argue whether Berber patterns hid resistance codes during French occupation, camouflaged maps, or just bad craftsmanship. You point to the dissolving camel. Intentional. Her shrug could mean anything. She offers a shuttle, its wood worn smooth by generations. Your grip slips, the shuttle clatters. A cat pounces, batting it under a pile of kaleems. See, the weaver smirks, even tools flee. Loom strings tremble, vibrations humming up your arm as you touch the frame. The sensation triggers a memory, third-grade music class, a misplayed cello string, everyone giggling. You pull back, her eyes narrow, laugh lines deepening. Threads remember, she says. Pull one, unspool a war, a wedding, a Wednesday breakfast. A breeze riffles through the stall, indigo cotton flaps like pirate flags. The remaining camel threads writhe, forming a shape too abstract to name. Someone coughs nearby, the sound muffled by rugs. Legends claim certain dyes induce visions, cheap explanation for heatstroke hallucinations. Your head feels fine, just a thrum behind the eyes, same as staring at optical illusions. The weaver snaps her fingers. A boy emerges from fabric shadows. He hands her scissors, glinting like crane beaks. She snips a dangling thread. It recoils, serpent quick. Persian knot, she says. Holds tight till it doesn't. The boy grins, missing teeth, echoing your brother's smile from the bakery's memory. 3 goats wander in, nibbling a half-finished tapestry. The weaver shoes them, her slippers slap stone. No charge for alpaca appetizers, she mutters. You bite your lip, laughing feels risky here, like yelling in a chapel. Dusk seeps into the market, lantern light bleeds across wool. The loom's corpse lies naked, its skeleton of beams and pegs. She kicks the treadle, wood groans. Tomorrow's pattern might behave. Her wink suggests otherwise. You turn to leave. A loose thread clings to your sleeve. It glows faintly, or maybe that's the lanterns. The weaver clicks her tongue. Ghost of a knot, she says. Follow it, find a better story. The thread tugs eastward, a compass needle itching to spin. Somewhere ahead, a brass cup clinks. Moonlight sloshes over metal, and a parched voice calls prices too high for water. The ghost thread drags you past shuttered stalls, their lanterns guttering like dying fireflies. A brass cup clinks, metal ringing pure despite dents. You follow the sound, each step kicking up ochre dust that clings to your ankles. Twilight has bled into proper night. The sky a bowl of obsidian, cracked by stars. He stands where alleys converge, a water cellar's silhouette sharp against moonlit walls. His goatskin pouch sags, patched with scraps of tire rubber. 19th century Marrakesh water vendors wore tasseled hats and jangling belts This man's uniform is sweat-stained linen and stubbornness. His scale tilts, brass weights shaped like lotus flowers quiver. Silver dirham or copper phallus. His voice rasps, a well dipped too deep. You gesture to the cup. He nods, knuckles brushing the vessel's rim. Moonlight pools inside, liquid mercury, or well water, who can tell? Historians still argue whether these cellars added rosewater for nobility, or just to mask canal grit. You sip, the cold punches your molars. His shadow stretches long, swallowing 3 stray cats mid-stride. From the Atlas, he says, claiming glacial meltwater. Locals whisper that certain springs remember drink deep enough. See Roman legions marching in your veins. The water tastes of flint and thirst, no visions yet. Your throat tightens, suddenly aware of every swallow. He pockets your coin, leans close. His breath smells of mint and oxidized metal. Full moon surcharge, he growls. You almost laugh, prank-proof pricing in a market where even haggling has rules. A nightjar calls, its trill sinks with the cups tremble in your hand. Sudden thirst hooks your ribs. You drain the cup. For a heartbeat, the world ripples, lanterns smear into comet trails. 8th century traders believed night-drunk water sharpened negotiations. Or maybe they just liked the placebo of urgency. The seller watches, eyes reflecting your blurred edges. His pouch creaks as he hoists it. A few drops escape, darkening the dust. Some claim these vendors planted tamarind seeds at crossroads, guaranteeing return customers through engineered droughts. You'll never know. The market's truths dissolve faster than sugar in tea. The empty cup weighs heavy, its engravings worn to ghosts of vines. He wipes it with his sleeve, a gesture older than the Almoravid dynasty. Your fingers tingle, residue or residual magic. Take your pick. Down the alley, a donkey brays urgency in its pitch. Another. He tilts the pouch, a droplet hangs, trembling. You decline politeness as armor here. He shrugs, straps the vessel shut with fraying leather. Legend says the last water cellar each night becomes a bridge between worlds. Look. His shadow now touches 2 walls at once. You turn to leave. His chuckle follows like a tame scorpion. The cup's aftertaste blooms anise, myrrh. Your tongue's too numb to tell. Lanterns dim as vendors retreat, their secrets tucked into rolled awnings. One final clink. The seller places his cup upside down on a ledge. Custom demands it. No vessel left open, lest jinns claim it as a home. Your boots echo, suddenly too loud on stones smoothed by centuries of soles. A warm wind stirs, carrying salt from distant dunes. Your shadow stretches eastward, long enough to flicker against the next town's walls. Somewhere ahead, a muezzin inhales. Dawn tugs at his vocal cords, and 99 lanterns gutter into smoke. Stray dogs circle ribs visible beneath patchy fur that glows blue in the dying lantern light. One nuzzles your empty palm, its nose damp and improbably cold. Another licks salt from your wrist, a rough tongue grating like sandstone. Medieval Marrakesh tolerated street dogs as sanitation crews, their teeth scouring scraps better than any broom. You kneel, dust etching crescents into your kneecaps. A brindled mutt presses its forehead to yours, breath reeking of cumin and rot. Historians still argue whether vendors hired pickpockets to thieve, while dogs distracted marks. Your pockets hang limp, they've taken the silver hairpin, but left 17 copper phallus. The mutt whines, you swear its pupils flash violet in the half-light. Dawn leaks between rooftops, liquid gold, severing shadow from substance. A vendor slams his shutters, wood cracking like a rifle shot. The dogs scatter all but the salt liquor. It stares, left ear twitching, toward the eastern horizon. Local lore claims strays G-U-A-R-D, Chinese letter, S, between waking and dream. Licking salt purifies travelers for passage. Your tongue finds grit between teeth. When did you last blink? The dog sneezes, a comical sound that startles laughter from your ribs. Its tail thumps once, approval or dismissal, who knows? Street dogs here interbred with African golden wolves centuries ago. Their howls still chill new mother's milk. You scratch behind its ear, skin hot as fresh-baked bread. A distant cock crows. The animal tenses, melting into an alley's mouth. Shouts erupt, 2 men wrestling over a spilled spice tray. Saffron threads catch in the breeze, floating like Phoenician trade routes made visible. You sidestep the scuffle, heel, crunching a discarded snail shell. 9th century Carlovingian coins surface, here often tributes paid to Berber guides or lost crusader loot. Your empty pocket flaps, a visual punchline. Should have invested in those triple-knotted belt pouches the leatherworker hawked. The salt-licking dog reappears, dragging a stolen sandal crusted with barnacles. It drops the prize at your feet. Some gratitude requires creative interpretation. Vendors fold their stalls, canvas snapping like ship's sails in a squall. A toothless man sweeps the plaza, his broom made of palm, fronds bound with dried tendons. Each pass kicks up ochre dust, the same shade as the Almoravid dynasty's battle flags. The dog whimpers, nudging the sandal toward your boot. You turn it over, seaweed clings to the sole. How far inland does the black market for beachwear really stretch? The animal's gaze bores into yours. Suddenly, you're 10 years old, hiding contraband figs beneath your pillow. A whistle pierces the haze. The broom wielder points at the horizon. First light bleeds across the square. Lanterns darken one by one. Their dying breaths smell of hot tin and last night's incense. The dog bolts, sandal forgotten. Your shadow stretches westward, too thin, as if dawn has filed it down to essence. Somewhere behind you, cloth rustles against stone. A child's giggle, or just the wind fingering abandoned market stalls. Your throat constricts, part thirst, part unplaceable loss. When you glance back, the sandal's gone, replaced by a greasy date pit. The broom's rhythmic swish slows, granules of sand and saffron, and time itself settling. Your fingers brush the date pit, its surface textured like 1,000 miniature dunes. Ninth-hour merchants believed carrying one prevented sunstroke, desert logic twisting necessity into talisman. Eastward, the muezzin's first note rises, a blade slicing through the final darkness. Vendors disappear into alleys, their awnings rolled tight as papyrus scrolls. You pocket the pit, its weight negligible, yet somehow tilting the world. Far off, dogs begin to howl, not the street mutt's yaps, but deeper cries that vibrate in your molars. They harmonize with the call to prayer, a dissonant chord fraying at its edges. Your feet pivot, compass needles swinging toward some magnetic absence. The last lantern extinguishes, a breath sucked through teeth. Daybreak stains the market's bones amber, revealing everything and nothing. Shutters slam, wooden jaws biting off the market's lingering hum. That last lantern gutters, its flame drowning in wax pools. Your shadow stretches east, elongating into a smudge as dawn scrapes the horizon raw. Muezzins once climbed 63 steps to Qutubiyya's minaret, their ankles wrapped in Almoravid-era chains for humility. You kick a pebble, it skitters into the gutter, startling pigeons fat on spilled grain. A coin winks beneath a fig cart, your old friend, the copper phallus. Sore spots bloom where your sandal straps dug trenches across insteps. 9th century merchants hid coins in their shoes, not for luck, but to bribe border guards. The phallus nestles in your palm, warm as a mouse pup. Faint grooves mark its surface, Berber numerals worn smooth by generations of barter. The muezzin's voice fractures, one note splintering into 3 competing tones. Historians still argue whether medieval callers added flourishes to outshine rival mosques. Your shadow twitches, reaching for dust devils swirling near the tannery's shuttered stalls. Something crunches underfoot, a crow's feather dipped in henna. Superstitious hawkers sold them as sleep aids, though you suspect tourists bought the gag. Dawn bleaches the plaza, ochre walls surrendering their warmth to the sun's glare. Your shadow thins, stretched so taut you could pluck it like a lyre string. A stray shutter bangs, its iron hinge screeching like a butchered hare. You press the phallus to your lips, patina tasting of blood and Souk silt. Footsteps echo desert wind or spectral merchants rehearsing their return at dusk. Had your shadow always bent westward here, or is the city itself crooked? The henna'd feather sticks to your heel, a half-hearted bookmark in this chapter's end. Your ears pop, pressure shifting, as the first proper sunlight hits the gates. Across the square, a leatherworker's awning collapses. Canvas sighs against cobblestones, exhaling centuries of embedded spices. That copper smell sharpens, the tang of forged dinars still lingering in the soil. Your shadow's fingertips graze a dried olive branch, its owner carted off by donkeys hours ago. The phallus grows heavy, gravity bending around its paltry weight. Mules clop by, hooves polishing stones worn smooth by 12 generations of traders. One animal sneezes, Its nostrils flared at your lingering market stink. You pocket the coin, a placeholder, until next twilight's bargains. Heat shimmers rise, the plaza becoming a pond of liquid brass. Your shadow shrinks, anchored now by noon's vertical glare. Somewhere beyond the walls, camels groan under indigo traders' salt sacks. The script has flipped, merchants become pilgrims, daylight scrubbing away their nocturnal guile. You adjust your collar, sweat already gluing linen to spine. That henna feather floats free, caught by a breeze, scented with distant cedar forests. The last shutter's bang fades, replaced by wasps investigating a fig merchant's leavings. Your shadow crouches, compressed into a puddle at your feet. Turn. The gates yawn, their iron spikes blackened by 1,000 farewell shadows. Your soles grind peppercorns into the threshold, each step releasing a final burst of market musk. Historians forgive tourists for missing the subtler geometries, the way shadows map trade routes invisible by day. One glance back, the Souk sleeps belly up, defenseless in the light. Your shadow stretches again, reaching the first olive grove outside the walls. It darkens for a heartbeat, passing over Almoravid water channels buried too deep for the sun to steal. Shutters close, wooden frames swallowing the market's last whispers. That final lantern flickers its light, sinking into pale wax. Your shadow stretches east, fading to a blur as dawn touches the sky. Callers once climbed 63 steps to Qutubiyya's minaret, their ankles wrapped in old chains, a reminder of humility. You nudge a pebble, it tumbles into the gutter, scattering pigeons plump on forgotten grain. A coin glints beneath a fig cart, your companion, the copper phallus. Tenderness lingers where sandal straps pressed into your skin. Merchants long ago hid coins in their shoes, not for luck, but for passage. The phallus rests in your palm warm, like a creature seeking shelter. Faint lines etch its surface, numbers worn smooth by countless hands. The call to prayer splinters, notes drifting like seeds on the breeze. Some say callers added flourishes to rise above the crowd. Your shadow stirs, reaching for dust spirals near silent stalls. Something whispers underfoot, a crow's feather tinged with rust-red dye. Sellers once offered them as charms, though most knew it as playful lore. Dawn washes the plaza, ochre walls easing into daylight's embrace. Your shadow narrows, taut as a strand of woven silk. A lone shutter clatters, its cry softened by the growing light. You press the phallus to your lips, its kiss tasting of earth and time. Footsteps murmur wind or ghosts preparing for evening's return. Does your shadow always lean west here, or does the city tilt? The dyed feather clings to your heel, a faded mark left by the night. Your ears fill with silence, sunlight pressing against the gates. Across the square, canvas sighs into the stones, releasing old spice memories. Metal whispers linger, the breath of coins sleeping beneath the earth. Your shadow brushes a dried olive branch, its story carried away long ago. The phallus weighs your pocket, a small promise for tomorrow's dusk. Mules pass, hooves tapping rhythms older than their drivers' names. One sniffs the air, curious about your scent of saffron and sleep. Heat ripples rise, the square melting into gold-lit waves. Your shadow curls close, a companion shrinking from the sun's gaze. Beyond the walls, camels sigh under loads of salt and twilight dreams. Traders shed their roles, daylight rinsing away the night's playful masks. You straighten your collar, fabric clinging like a hesitant embrace. The feather lifts, caught by a wind smelling of cedar and far-off rain. The final bang fades, wasps hovering over figs left to soften. Your shadow kneels, pooling quietly at your feet. Turn, the gates open wide, iron-kissed by 1,000 departing shades. Your soles crush peppercorns, each step whispering the market's last secret. Let others overlook the hidden patterns, shadows tracing paths only night can reveal. Look back once. The souk rests open-palmed, trusting daylight's fragile peace. Your shadow stretches, fingers brushing olive trees beyond the walls. It pauses, crossing ancient water channels too deep for the sun to claim.